revise prices, President Akufo-Addo, to, among others, to one, order his appointees to release the FX that they have stashed in their homes to the public so that there will be enough forex in the market. We also call on President Akufo-Addo to adhere to the fiscal consolidation and curtail excessive spending. And we also want the President and his government to address the lingering issues of the cocoa sector. We want to use this opportunity to urge the Vice President to quit his offbeat dancing on the campaign trail and focus on the dancing city. In the last few days, we are aware that they've paid approximately 7 billion Ghana cedis to contractors, off-budget contractors, off-budget expenditure, 7 billion cedis. They borrowed from the T-bill market. Okay, so they borrowed the money from the ordinary Ghanaians. Then they paid this money to these contractors, and the contractors, they are also not certain. And as a result, they've engaged in currency substitution. You know what it means? They got cedis, they went and changed it into US dollars and kept the money. And this is what is happening because of lack of confidence in the economy. They're engaging in currency substitution. And they will melt it as and when they need cedis. So this is what is happening. When you lose confidence in the system, this is what is happening. But President Akufo-Addo is destroying the governance of our country. In the sense that even banks, a typical example like the NIB, has been turned into a hub where they harbor foot soldiers of the party. You have a bank that is struggling, a bank that is almost collapsing, a bank that we know that the governance regime is extremely poor, but we all want to nurture the bank because obviously it's a state bank. This president, in spite of all the problems of the NIB, has decided to appoint a parliamentary candidate, someone who is going to contest the election in 6 months, as the MD of the state bank, the National Investment Bank. And I'm surprised at the governor. And Governor Addison, the printer, also had the temerity to do what? To approve such a person to become the governor of the Bank of Ghana.
Well, so that's the minority there. They addressed the press earlier in the week. The state of the economy, I mean, it's borne by all of us. We are impacted in various ways by the state of this economy. That is going to be a conversation that we will have this morning, not just with businesses, but with you as individuals as well, and how this state of the economy is impacting all of us. The last time we checked, the cedi selling on to about 15 cedis to the dollar. That's the reality of the situation that we're faced with. Importers and exporters, businesses, individuals, all impacted in various ways by the continuous depreciation of the cedi. What is going on and what is being done to stem the tide? That's the question on the minds of many this morning. That's why we'll have the right minds to help us have a conversation, a meaningful conversation about the state of affairs and stop the politics, because clearly individuals and businesses heavily impacted by the situation we're dealing with. Good morning. From our studios here, Tadesawe in Accra. Welcome. This is Key Point on TV3. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. Welcome to Key Point. We discuss the most topical issues of the week with our well-informed panelists who would be speaking for and on behalf of the Ghanaian people in the interest of the development of this country. We're also live on a number of radio stations across the country. Now, this city on the free fall continues to dip. It's one conversation that we would have this morning. The next issue on the menu here on Key Point, which was key this week, is the special prosecutor. Well, his predecessor has decided to petition the presidency to have him removed as special prosecutor. The presidency has forwarded the same petition to the Chief Justice, Gertrude Tukono, for action. Now, according to the sources, the petition dated 30th April 2024 was filed by Martin Alamisi Burns Kaiser Amidu, the man you see on the screen there, who resigned from that role in the lead up to the 2020 elections, barely 3 years after he was made the special prosecutor. Martin Amidu is alleged a number of things: procurement breaches, the purchase of vehicles for the office of the special prosecutor, abuses involving judges, and the administration of justice, making other allegations, including violation of citizens' rights through arrests and detentions, violations of the right to information and improper appointments of personnel to the office, and so on. We would have a thorough conversation on this petition and what is happening now. Martin Amidu has been consistent. He's not minced words about his disapproval of some of Kissi Ejabin's methods. But this petition and the grounds for which this petition has been filed, what's your take on this as well? We're very, very interactive. We'll have a conversation because there are some persons who have been really working with the Special Prosecutor's Office over the period. They will join us and we'll have a conversation on this matter. What is the intent? And will President Kufuor, in doing this, also have his own questions, especially because the man who is petitioning Kissi Ejabin is not new to him, and especially his description of the president's fight against corruption. We will talk about it. There's another petition that has been filed this week by some prominent citizens to the Speaker of Parliament seeking a bipartisan probe into the conduct of the Economic and Organized Crime Office in the investigation regarding the stash of money found in the residence of former Sanitation Minister Cecilia Abena-Dapaah. Those over 100 Ghanaians include some of my guests: Professor Ransford Jampo, Martin Kpebu, Justice Abdullahi, Daniel Yao Demelovo. They are all part of over 100 Ghanaians who filed this petition to the Speaker of Parliament about Cecilia Dapaah. To what end, really? Especially when this Parliament has proven to be very partisan, even though a hung Parliament. Can anything different come out of the route that they have chosen? That's a question that we are asking this morning. Well, some of the petitioners in this case will be joining us on the show this morning. What exactly are they expecting of Parliament? We would have a conversation. As always, welcome to Key Point. My guests will be joining me after this quick break. We would have a conversation to help shape the nation into the kind of country that we want to belong to. We'll be back shortly. Stay with us.
It's a freedom of wish. Who you want to lead you and why you want to make such a decision. The time has come today, Ghana. I am urging the nation, the youth, the women and men, the people, the workers, the jobless, or even the people in prison, that you have to take your registration seriously, because it's starting from the 7th of May to the 27th of May. You only have 20 days, but let's make the best out of 20 days, because come 7th of December, that is going to be your power, and your thumb is going to be your strongest decision, and this decision can change the future of this nation. Let's come together and let's educate ourselves about democracy, your right to vote, and your right to decide. Thank you, and be there.
1 bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior. You know, 1 bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply
Good afternoon, Auntie.
Afternoon, darling.
1 chilled bottle of Nero orange, please.
You want the cola, orange, lemon, vino, Nero.
Wow.
Cola, orange, lemon, vino. I'm gonna feel it cool, it refresh your body. Nero Cola, orange, lemon, and Bovino. New non-alcoholic flavored drink from Nero Beverages. This advert is FDA approved.
The situation we face as a nation has become the tragedy of our own political decisions that we have taken. I can see stress of our economy, and I can see that we're running behind schedule. A leader that will be chosen by the West will be chosen by the nation, and they will be the ones that will donate. They are responsible to put him in a chair. The leader would be indebted to them, ruling a country by the people's wish. Coming to Africa, this same leader goes to the nation, pay them to vote for him. If they do become a president, they feel like they are obliged to take whatever investment. And for many decades, our economies have been crumbling, and our vision has never become a reality. I think I have found a solution. Turn the table around. Donate into the leader that has a vision for the nation. My responsibility is to serve you. Give me the chance and opportunity to serve you. And therefore, we have launched a virtual crowdfunding. Remember, the government does not make the people. The people makes the government. Walk with us on this journey. Together, let's build a new nation.
We decide the issues. We make headlines. We set the pace. We ask relevant questions. And of course, we lead the conversations that matter to you, and the rest follow. Yes, we set the agenda, the kind that proffers solutions, informs national policy, and stimulates discussions that lead to national development. This is Agenda on TV3, your go-to program for what is worth focusing on, with expert diagnosis and prognosis of the most pressing issues. My name is Beatrice Edu.
Coming soon on TV3.
TV3, first in news.
This Sunday on Hot Issues.
What have you learned about how the devices were stolen?
Every information that we have given it to the security people. They are part of the investigation. So I wouldn't want to sit here and judge anybody.
Can the Ghanaian people trust the Electoral Commission to deliver a credible election in 2024?
We have been conducting elections since 1992, and nobody has been able to overturn the results with respect to the general election. Don't try to wake up somebody who intentionally decide to sleep, because you cannot wake such a person up.
Hot Issues shows Sundays at 2 p.m. on TV3.
TV3, first in news.
Hojeto, hoi ho. No sipoku. When you are the paid in Titimu, I just say, on your European, push yan and ne, or Chinani and the chair, chum. Asafumbe yanko. Asafumbe yanko. Ayabo, ne wadane. Papa, wane benya. Papa, wane benya. Akosia bra yentri. Akosia bra yentri. Stand. Queen 2023.
Ghana's most beautiful. Coming soon on TV3.
Have you heard of my dance academy?
No.
We are recruiting people. Give down, give down, give down, give down, give down, give down. Okay. Come on, start confessing, start talking. Have you ever been unfaithful in a relationship?
Yes.
Yes, I've cheated on my partner before.
I did, right? But it was, you do me, I do you.
He cheated, I cheated. So.
Oh, so 1-1. And you couldn't wait for him?
You know the
what? The what?
It's number 9, you don't cheat.
Yeah?
So I won't cheat.
The mouth is it 9.5?
Oh my
Or
God.
10/2?
You said what?
Date Rush shows every Sunday at 8 p.m. on TV3. Don't miss it. Date Rush is sponsored by Heaven Black Mosquito Spray and Coil and Napa Foods.
Feel Moisturizer.
Obuasi Bitters.
Close-Up Complete Fresh Protection, Geisha Moringa and Geisha Black Soap.
Adonko.
Remy Spices.
Stop Cough from Ernest Chemist.
Dano Milk.
Kiss Panache and Kiss Drinks.
Yaz Sanitary Pad.
Walking in purpose has never mattered more than now, especially for the two women that I'll be speaking to on this week's edition of The Day Show.
I was really managing the money because I really wanted to make it happen.
You see me driving for all the money they pay there. I've not been paid. And they'll share with us their journey to finding themselves and starting their own businesses.
So I would walk all through Kumasi, find weavers, ask them, can you make this for me?
From being an actress to starting her own brand.
When I transitioned to natural hair, I had no clue what I was doing.
That's exactly what we're talking about on The Day Show this week.
The Day Show, Sundays at 3 p.m. on TV3.
In a world where emotions run wild, only the bravest hearts dare to find true love. Join 14 hopeful singles as they embark on the journey of a lifetime, all under one roof in search of their perfect match. Tune in every Monday to Friday at 3 p.m. for the daily updates and diary sessions. Saturdays at 8 p.m. for the big reunion and 10 p.m. for the secret nominations. On TV3 for all the drama, romance and surprises. Plus, catch every moment of the action with our 24/7 live stream on pmextra.tv. Get ready to laugh, cry and cheer as our housemates navigate the highs and lows of romance and the quest for love. It's a roller coaster ride of emotions you won't want to miss. Perfect Match Extra. Love, betrayal, heartbreak and triumph. Perfect Match Extra on TV3 and pmextra.tv.
Sponsored by Close-Up for your important oral care needs. Geisha Moringa and Geisha Black Soap for your soft and glowing skin. Flora Tissue, Top Choco, Bell Ice,
Heaven Insecticide Spray and Coil,
Frutelli Calipo,
Katia Furniture and Deco, XYZ Wine.
Supported by Dragnet, Empire Kitchens.
From the streets to the boardroom, from the classroom to the stadium, women are taking control of the narrative. Gender is no longer a reason to not be great, and I'm here to amplify the stories. Stories of women who refused to take the backseat. Bold, daring, loud, and uncompromising women who have faced challenges, yet changed the game. So when you grow up, what do you want to be?
I wanted to be a stripper. I wanted to be Cardi B.
A vocational and technical training institute powering the African economy.
You meet with your friends, everybody wants to talk about their children doing well on Mother's Days, you know.
Are you ready to take your seat at the table? Join me, Cookie T, on Today's Woman every Saturday at 3 p.m. right here on TV3.
Today's Woman with Cookie T shows Saturdays at 3 p.m. on TV3.
We decide the issues. We make headlines. We set the pace. We ask relevant questions. And of course, we lead the conversations that matter to you, and the rest follow. Yes, we set the agenda, the kind that proffers solutions, informs national policy, and stimulates discussions that lead to national development. This is Agenda on TV3, your go-to program for what is worth focusing on, with expert diagnosis and prognosis of the most pressing issues. My name is Beatrice Edu.
Coming soon on TV3.
TV3, first in news. Hello, good morning. Welcome back. This is Key Point on TV3. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. Also live on a number of radio stations across the country. We are very interactive on X and then also on Facebook. So there are so many ways you can share your thoughts with us. And the issues we're going to be talking about, read it out to you and as always, and to the rest of the world. My name is Alfred Ocansey. Welcome back. We start off this conversation today. Last week, talked a lot about Cecilia Dapa and the Economic and Organized Crime Office and the advisory of the Attorney General to IOCO not to waste its time investigating any issue of money laundering related to Cecilia Dapa. Now, eventually, the IOCO boss took a decision to return the docket to the Special Prosecutor's Office. There are a number of civil society organizations and individuals who make the strong point that IOCO could have at least started some form of investigation into Cecilia Dapa's cash saga, to establish that fundamental question, the answer to that question of the source of the money, at least. That remains unanswered. Now, with what is playing out, over 100 Ghanaians have decided that if IOCO, the Attorney General, Special Prosecutor's Office, we've seen what's happening in the public, this back and forth, unnecessary, turf war that is seeking to rather divert our attention from the real issue. Well, there's over 100 Ghanaians say they will not be confused or have their focus shifted. They're going to Parliament, petitioning the Speaker of Parliament to have Parliament establish a bipartisan probe into this Cecilia Dapa cash matter. How is it going to end? Because this is not the first time we're going on this path with this particular Parliament, this 8th Parliament. Even though a hung Parliament, it has proven to be very partisan in a number of cases. So will this be different, or would they have any different outcome? One of the petitioners in this case is my guest this morning. And the institution that they have petitioned, Parliament, have 2 members of Parliament of this 8th Parliament also with us. I want to welcome the Honorable George Kweku Rickett-Hagan. He's a member of Parliament for the Cape Coast South constituency, and then also a former Deputy Finance Minister. Honorable Rickett-Hagan, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, Alfred.
It's good to have you. It's been a while. Though.
Yeah, it's been.
So it's been almost what? Almost a year?
Yes. Could be.
Yes, because the last time you were supposed to be here...
It's been a long break.
Thank you. Thank you very much for coming.
Resumed me.
Oh, yes. We have resumed you. Thank you. Martin Kpebu is, in fact, Martin Luther Kpebu is private legal practitioner and then also one of the petitioners in this case we're about talking about, also the leader of one of 3 individual bondholder groups, and then also the convener of the Komepreko Reloaded demonstration. Lawyer Martin Kwebu, good morning, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Ocansey. I like your outfit.
I'm learning from you.
And I told Honorable Apia Kubi that today he has to reveal the identity of the businessman.
He has to reveal the identity.
He has to reveal the identity.
That's what.
So today we are ready for you.
We are not living here without the identity of the businessman.
Excellent.
Thank you. You've been consistent with your fugu.
Yes. Yes.
It's been a year.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Let's do it this way. It's good. Let's promote our own.
He's an ambassador to local products. So let's commend him for that.
Yeah. Indeed.
He has been very consistent.
Very. And the Honorable Andy Apia Kubi, Member of Parliament.
Free foods to advertise.
Yes, it's true. It's true. We should be looking at that. Like I said, now some people, those who sell the foods, they have to start sponsoring this food.
Absolutely. I don't think it will be a bad idea.
Advertise their foods for them.
Precisely. There are a few people in the north who would once in a while pass on food to you. So I think it's a good one. The Honorable Andy Apia Kubi is also a private legal practitioner as well. Honorable, appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming. Yes. Good morning.
Yeah, let me greet my good people of Asante Achimdok, because you elected not to mention the constituency.
I did, respectfully.
Right, so
I did.
Thank you very much for those kind words, and also commend my good friend for the display of the Ghanaian artifacts. It's good for all of us.
Indeed.
Yes, I'm inspired by that, and then the next time I can probably, I would want to also show support. So it's a good day for Ghana.
Certainly. Certainly it is. Certainly it is. And being a good day, I sort of feel like, so you, together with over 100 people, Ghanaians, you've petitioned the Speaker of Parliament.
Absolutely.
On this Cecilia Adapa case. What are you seeking Parliament to do exactly?
Yeah, so we want Parliament to set up a bipartisan committee to investigate the circumstances surrounding how Yoko reneged on its statutory duties to investigate the money laundering allegations. You say it because it's been plain, very, very clear that the quantum of money alone puts the case in the realm of money laundering. If you read all the authorities, they tell you that if you see plenty cash like that in a home, when it should be in a bank, the next question you should be asking is your source of income. It's no brainer, or maybe is it that because it looks very easy, like we say in Ghanaian English, Coco, maybe that's why Yoko thought it should be something like rocket science. No. In money laundering, last week I cited one of the British cases, R.V. Anwar, right? And there are a number of other cases. They tell you the principle is that when you see plenty money like that in a home, it's pointing towards money laundering. So go to the income of the person. And we all know, I'm sure because this is the introductory phase, maybe I cannot recount all the cases.
Oh, you can.
Oh, okay. So, and we all know that Cecilia Adapa is was only a minister of state for sanitation and water resources. What was her income? And members of parliament have shown that she didn't seek permission from the speaker to do any other business. And neither did she even give any evidence that passed of businesses she was conducting. You know, the evidence she gave, the 2 cosmetic businesses, they turned out not to be for her. So it just leaves the case squarely in the realm of money laundering. Also, there's a one, she said the part of the money, about $800,000 of it, belonged to her deceased brother. OSP check, that factory that the deceased brother had was dead 15 years ago. OSP put all that in the public domain when they came out with the report. A factory that died 15 years ago, how can that factory generate money that has, what do you call it, 200 Ghana notes? A factory, did we have 200 Ghana notes 15 years ago? I mean, come on, it looks like a joke. So when you look at all the circumstances, you can see money laundering. And let's not forget, you see, for Kisi Ejabin, you see, sometimes when we are analyzing this, we forget that Kisi Ejabin is an Ekufuado appointee. It means that they liked him. It's not just liking him. Beyond that, he must have some connections with them. Akufo-Addo will never give that, what do you call it, appointment to, let's say, the NDC stock. Who would we even call? Inusaf Sheni.
Well, he gave it to Martin Amido.
But for a purpose, and now we are seeing. They knew that when you hassle Martin Amido a bit, he will give up. Everybody knew. People who know Martin Amido predicted it. Okay. Ndebugri predicted it. And there was another professor who predicted it. Yes, Professor Fiajo, he predicted it.
Well, we'll get to that bit.
So yes. Putting all together, you could see that Kisi Ejabin just wasn't working anywhere and they gave it to him. So simple and short, they liked him and they have connections with him. That's why they gave it to him, right? So my point is that for Kisi Ejabin to come out and publicly tell us that this case looks like money laundering, it tells you that there is evidence. Because what is he supposed to do? He could simply have ended at the point that, look, I haven't found evidence of corruption or corruption-related offenses, so case closed. But for him to have volunteered, that is a mark of courage we must celebrate, a mark of courage and independence. A mark of courage and independence, because looking at a lot of public officers, once they are benefiting sweetly from the system, they try to, put impediments in the ways of journalists and what do you call it, investigators, right? Yes. So for Kisi to have gone a step further to blow the whistle, that though I don't find I don't find corruption and corruption-related offenses, I think this looks like money laundering. It's a huge step forward. So my point is that for Kisi to have done this, and then Yoko looks at it and says, I can't make a head or tail of this. When the evidence is there in plain sight, what is the income of Madame Dapa to match this colossal sum of money in her house? Then you are running around trying to throw dust into our eyes. And that is why we want Yoko to be held accountable. And we will never forget that Madame Tiwa has such a bad profile of protecting President Akufo-Addo and his appointees. That's how come there's only one conclusion, which is that this one too, she tossed the case just to protect President Akufo-Addo. What's the profile? Number one, Asensu Buachi and this Abu Jinapo were reported to her by the Kwame A+. She took a phone and begged A+ to drop charges because that corruption case will embarrass Akufo-Addo. Two, when the Anas documentary showed Charles Bisu receiving money, the corruption case openly, and then Charles Bisu was reported to OSP. That time Martin Amido himself was in charge. They quickly went and made a counter report to the CID. And Madam Tiwa then, as CID boss, quickly cleared Charles Bisu. Whilst OSP was still investigating this matter, I think in the past weeks we hadn't mentioned this Charles Bisu matter. OSP, Martin Amido himself, was seized with that corruption case. He hadn't finished, and then a different petition was presented to CID, and Madam Tiwa quickly passed it and said, oh, there was nothing against Charles Bisu. Don't we still have the Charles Bisu case in court, OSP still dragging it? Yet Tiwa said, oh, there's nothing. Charles Bisu is as clean as a whistle. Clean as a whistle. Can you imagine? And yet OSP is still on that case. So then you go to Sewa Bruni, the lady who says President Akufo-Addo is her boyfriend. She also reported that national security had broken into a hotel, blah, blah, blah. Tiwa made sure that case never saw the light of day. Takrade girls, that one too. See how the anguish Tiwa put parents through. Anguish, we found the girls. So the whole country were all excited that, oh, police and national security, all of them, they've done so well. We're all very excited. It turned out to be what? A ruse. No consequences for such actions. Then finally, the Professor Stephen Ade case. Yoko has no mandate to prosecute or investigate corruption and to prosecute SAFE. Yet, Amwakwata reports to Yoko that Stephen Ade had said people in his ministry take bribe, blah, blah, blah. And Yoko went on with the case. When Section 80 of the OSP Act says that Yoko shouldn't do bribery and corruption, look at it. It's here, 80. It says, the Economic and Organized Crime Office Act 2010, Act 804, is amended in Section 74 by the deletion of the words corruption and bribery in paragraph A of the definition of serious offense. So Iyoko's mandate in respect of bribery and corruption has been taken away. So yet Tiwa insisted and said, oh, she had investigated Professor Ade and thrown out the case. So you see that this is a lady who has consistently shown that she's a politician. Straight.
This is
that's what she is.
The Iyoko boss.
Yes. Oh, that's why she. Yes. But by the cases, I can make that inference in law because she's shown that she's out to protect Akufo-Addo.
Because of these cases you made reference to.
Yes. So five cases, and I can land firmly that she's plain face. It's just a police garb. It's no longer even a cloak because she's thrown off the mask. That for her, she's a politician wearing police uniform. That's all.
If I look at your petition, and we'll put portions of it on the screen, I'll find out something for him because it says we the underline as you. The underline
signed. Oh, it's a typo.
Being citizens of that's okay. Being citizens of Ghana and interested in promoting and sustaining Ghana's democracy and the fight against corruption, which has retarded Ghana's progress for decades. You are petitioning the High Office of the Speaker of Parliament for a probe on the case of Cecilia Dapaah cash saga. It is the situation that Iyoko, you say, led by its Executive Secretary, Mameya Tiwa Adodankwa, has chosen not to investigate the allegations of money laundering against Cecilia Dapaah. Iyoko claimed that they cannot comprehend the basis of the OSP's opinion that Madame Dapaah, that the former Sanitation and Water Resources Minister, and her husband were potentially involved in money laundering regarding the substantial sums of cash discovered in their residence and in various bank accounts. It is evident and quite clear that with ample evidence available, accompanied by a docket that contains over 20 witness statements. You say the docket contains over 20 witness statements?
Yes, the question, people who were interviewed, 1, 2, 3, over 20. OSP said it. OSP put out that information. 20. And if you look.
And these witnesses.
Yes, they show money laundering. Look, one of the
their testimonies pointed to money laundering.
Yes, let me say one of the what do you call it? One of the laughable stories. Look, at one point, Sister Dapaah's husband's is a niece, the one who said she brought money from the U.S. Now the money, she made sure that look, $200,000. How did you bring the money? That I divided it. So if she was on the flight with Honorable Ricky Tegan, then Honorable Apia Kubi, she gives Ricky Tegan 10,000. Apia Kubi 10,000. Mr. Ocansey 10,000. Kwebu 10,000. All of you on the plane, no. Then when you get down in Ghana, you all give her back the money. Can you imagine? It's hogwash.
And she said,
and they are sitting on that docket. Listen, this case, what? There are stories like that in that docket that Mamitiwa is trying to sit on. And you think we are fools? You think we are scared?
So
even deaf, it can come.
The niece of...
The niece, that is the story the niece gave. That coming to Ghana, $200,000. I shared it amongst so many people. 10,000, 10,000, 10,000. When you get off the plane, then you give me back my money. People you never knew from Adam. You get to the airport. May say, oh, Honorable Higgins, are you a Ghanaian? Okay, yes. Oh, can you handle this $10,000 for me? Honorable say, yes. Apia Kubi, okay, even from your name, you're a Ghanaian, right? Please, 10,000. Ocansey, this is Ghanaian, 10,000. That's how she distributed $200,000.
That's what she said.
Brought into Ghana. And that's the story in a file. And you are sitting on that file.
And this story is captured in the file in the document?
Yes, and you are telling us that there's nothing in that file. TY. Hey.
No, are you suggesting that the name Reketi Hagen is not Reket Hagen? It's not Ghanaian. May not be.
Oh, it's it may not be.
Because we have accorded the two
even
of us,
his hair
our
low.
Ghanaianness.
Yes, even his hair low. You see the curly hair low. You say, oh, maybe Malaysia or somewhere in India. And all the Indians
you may not be far from
the stories in that docket. So the point we look, Mr. Ocansey, let's spend all this and let's tell Tiwa that we are not fools. Have you heard Adam Bona in the tape, the video, or you haven't seen it?
I haven't seen it. No, he forwarded it to me.
No, Madam Tiwa, Adam Bona is telling you that you know and he knows whatever went on between the two of you. He's telling you that he's challenging you that he knows that this your thing is a cock and bull story. Stop that thing. Ghana doesn't belong to you alone. You can't continue to be a poodle to politicians like that.
Okay,
look at the kind of stuff in that docket. 20 witness statements.
Counsel.
Yes.
Counsel. in the end, you have petitioned
Yes.
the Speaker of Parliament.
Yes.
You want Parliament to look into that
Yes.
matter. In fact, let me just establish this, that you are not the only one.
Yes.
In fact, we have Daniel Yao Demelovo. Hopefully, we will hear from him.
Kwame Saponesiedu,
Dr. Kwame Saponesiedu, and then also
Professor Jampo, Dr. Kwame Nanaya Akwada,
Lawyer Abdullahi, Justice Abdullahi as well. And then also, just to say that I saw fuel attendants,
carpenters, masons,
mechanics,
makers,
the clergy. I mean, everybody in there. So the people that we normally will call ordinary Ghanaians.
Yes.
Because fuel attendants were also part of the persons who signed this petition.
Yes. So many.
We have mechanics, we have commercial drivers, all in there.
Yes.
More of capturing a reflection of the various aspects of society who are concerned about this.
Yes.
I mean, I'm bringing out this point because this is an issue that has played out, even bringing Parliament into question, because this person we're talking about served in Parliament, served with you. There are a number of things that went through Parliament and approved by you whilst he was in office. Hearing how this case has played out now that the Ioko says, you know what, I looked at the docket. There's really nothing in there based on even the Attorney General's advisory. So I'm returning this docket. People have seen the details of the docket and he's telling us some of the stories in there. Does it concern you that at this point,
we out there, dispatches?
We are almost caught up in a situation where we may never, if things continue this way, know the source of the money involved.
Thank you very much, Alfred, and good to be here. And good morning to my honorable brother and to Martin, who's been fighting a good cause, and to the good people of Cape Coast South in particular. In fact, I first talked about this case when I came to this very studio.
Indeed.
When the issue came out, sort of, we'll say fresh. And it was quite shocking, the amount of money that we were told was discovered in the lady's house and what that money was doing in that house. And considering her position, obviously, in society, being a public servant or a politician. And I thought in many jurisdictions that I know, this matter would have been a very serious issue by now. And for us to, or for this system to be able to navigate this case the way it has done so far, it's really troubling. It tells you that nobody really is interested in fighting anything like corruption or money laundering, as they put it now.
One of the suggestions was that since you're a finance person, one of the suggestions last week, even by prominent lawyers, Sam Okujetu, was that there's really no law that prevents anybody from keeping that amount of money in their home. So what's the problem? Is she the only one? Can that argument suffice?
That we are hypocrites.
Well, I guess there's no law if you go and find somebody's head in your house. There's no law that says that you killed a person or you just happen to have a school, somebody's head, which has been dried out and is hanging in your bedroom or in your sitting room. I guess I'm not a lawyer, but Lawyer Martin is here. I don't know if there's any law, that they can say you have murdered someone, especially if they cannot identify who the school, belongs to. Look, it's really a joke especially what sometimes we tend to do with law. You know, and the two lawyers here. And sometimes, you know, naively, I think law itself sometimes is part of the problem.
Law is part of the problem.
Naively.
Okay, right, yes.
Because, I mean, you know, the same law that you know, can be used to set somebody free is the same law that somebody can also twist to get.
Let me help you.
Yeah.
Law is not a problem, but the problem is the evidence to establish conviction or otherwise.
Right.
So law itself is not the problem.
$1 million
But how you bring out the evidence? Sometimes you
$1
the
million
law.
in
Yeah,
somebody's
there are
room.
elements of the law that you need to prove.
So
And
he's
you
saying
prove
make
that
the law easier. So both of you are right. He's saying the quality of the law sometimes is a problem. No, that one is another rule of law. The quality of the law.
This law in money laundering is adequate.
Okay.
Except that you need to provide evidence in support of the elements, to prove of the elements, to ground your charges. And sometimes that is where the difficulty comes.
But the one with $1 million basically has no basis to prove to anyone why they have $1 million.
Even public officers may even be compromised.
All right.
In the establishment.
Can I
both of you are right, but I'm tilting towards him. The quality of the law. Sometimes it's when you do legislative drafting, the quality, how you write, your
It's also,
expression.
I mean,
yes, so that's why
this is a clear example that this country is not serious about fighting corruption.
Absolutely.
It's a clear, if you are to cite, I'm to cite one example. Because it might not be clear in law, but I think it's clear in common sense. It's clear in what you see. And for this woman still to be walking around freely with yokos and OSPs and all that, banging their heads together, it's really shameful. It's really shameful and doesn't give anybody any desire to want to do anything to help fight corruption in this country. And the case gets twisted every day. Every time you hear of it, it goes to places. I mean, if the evidence of finding $1 million in your house is not enough, I mean, if you look at some of what some of these witnesses are saying, they themselves should be in prison. I mean, to be able to say, admit that you were actually distributing $10,000 on a plane to people. It's not the distribution of it. But all those monies belong to you, and you know the law. That when you have such money on you and you get into the country, that money should be declared. So the reason why the money was distributed is for you not to declare, and that itself is an offense. But all these people are walking around. It makes believe. I mean, this is unbelievable. You know, sometimes you lose hope that really, are we serious as a country? What do you really have to do to deter people for doing these kind of things? At the moment, there seems to be no deterrent. And people will try these things on and on again, knowing very well that there will be no consequence. I mean, you just have to have a nice story to tell. You know, whether it's a factory that was closed 15 years ago or a dead brother who was sending money from the cemetery or whatever it is, and get away with it. It doesn't seem to be a serious country that we live in.
But can Parliament provide answers? Because you see, now
there's a
the
petition
petitioners
now.
are hoping that Parliament would help.
Well, it has gone around the block, and we haven't had any solution. So some level of desperation has actually set in this, and it's come to Parliament. You know, another arm, you know, of government which has the powers to investigate things if they want to. So it's come. The petition has come. You know, Speaker will take a look at it, and then, you know, a ruling will be made whether the bipartisan, you know, approach will be used in Parliament, you know, whether we have the laws to back that and be able to do that investigation. I mean, the lawyers who brought the issues there or led them, because now it looks like the cross-section of Ghanaians,
yes,
who have sent this petition, obviously led by, good lawyers like Martin and all that. So I'm sure they've done their homework. They know that we have the powers to be able to do that. The ruling will be made, and surely if the powers are there, I will welcome the idea of somebody in this country standing up and looking at this. To say that, look, there is something here that we can look at and not brush this under the carpet as if nothing has happened.
But you, Parliament, you've also been extremely partisan. Even in this 8th Parliament that is a hung Parliament. And the expectation is that some of these things will have a bipartisan approach. You've been extremely partisan. So is there any hope for these petitioners?
Well,
or for Ghanaians who are looking for answers?
I am optimistic, and I want to hope and believe that every case can be different and the approach can be different. So this will be looked at, and many people, I'm sure including people within the MPP, are not happy with this and don't want us to brush this under the carpet. But obviously, as you said, partisan colors sometimes make it difficult for people to even put on their thinking cap for consequences, fear of consequences. So let's hope that finally the people will begin to act on this, because this is ridiculous. If we are not able to look at this and bring some finality to this case, look, I tell you what, we don't stand a chance and hope in anything being resolved. You referred to this case, and it stinks. I mean, when I came here, I just looked at it, and I just, from my layman's view, I said, this is basically thievery. Yes. That's how I saw it. Yes. It looks like a clear corruption. Somebody will say, I have to prove it. And obviously, so far, they think that we have not been able to prove it. So let's see where this goes.
We've proved it. So far, she's not been able to explain the sources.
Yes.
And under Section 1, Subsection 3 of the Act 1044, the burden is on her. She's not been able to prove, so you're on fair grounds.
On common explanation as to where that money came from.
Yes.
If you are innocent and you choose, to live in the Stone Age and keep your money in your house, explain it, where that 1 million came from. And the explanation doesn't add up. Different stories are being told all the time. And this is really concerning.
Indeed.
Really concerning.
Let me welcome Daniel Yao Demelovo, who is former Auditor General of the Republic of Ghana, and also one of the petitioners in this case that we're talking about, the petition to the Speaker of Parliament to establish or consider the establishment of a bipartisan probe into this Cecilia Dapa case. Daniel Yao Demelovo, good morning. Welcome to Key Point.
Good morning, and thank you, and good morning to your colleagues.
To the extent that this case has traveled through all the 3 arms of government, right? Because it started from the executive, and then the judiciary was brought in. Now you are taking the demand for answers to the Legislative House of Parliament. Are you of the view that even before IOCO could reach this point or this conclusion and return the docket to the Special Prosecutor, it could have at least started some form of investigation into this Cecilia Dapa cash matter?
Yes, thank you very much for the opportunity. I've been listening to the gentlemen in the studio, and they are doing fantastic explanation or deliberation on the issue. If you have been following developments in the country for some time, you will know that IOCO is one institution that at times go beyond their mandate. I'll give you 2 examples. When I was holding the senior minister liable for the Crow and Associates case,
Honorable Demelovo, Mr. Demelovo, if you can move a bit to your left for me.
A bit to my left.
You're right. You're right. In this case, you're right. Yes.
This way.
Yes. Perfect.
Okay. All right. Let me move. Is that okay?
Move a little bit more. That should be good. Yes.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah. When we were pursuing the senior minister on this Crow and Associate case, quickly Yoko decided to investigate me for alleged procurement offenses, where even they themselves know that the law, the public procurement law, the head of the independent constitutional bodies are not part of the entity tender committee. But they said, since I was the head of the institution, and even the minutes of the meeting and all their deliberations, I was not part of it, they decided to come for me. When even I drew their attention, their mandate to investigate procurement-related offenses has been taken away by the OSP Act. They refused to budge. It took the High Court, I have to sue them. In that case, Auditor General versus Yoko, exactly. I have to sue them. It took the High Court to stop them.
I was going to say that. Exactly.
Before they stopped. Recently, when Professor Ade made allegation of corruption and corruption-related cases against the Ministry of Roads and Highways, which does not fall within the mandate of Yoko, quickly they went and investigated and told us that they cleared the ministry of any wrongdoing. Here comes a case which falls squarely within your mandate. You don't want to investigate. And what beats my mind is the fact that if you do the investigation, we cannot impose on you what you should find. So if they even did the investigation and came back and told us that they found nothing, I think maybe it may be a bit okay. We will not accept it though, but there's nothing we could do about that. They said they cannot investigate it. So to me, two questions are usually on my mind when their refusal came to the public domain. Two questions. I asked myself, is it the prophecy of the president when he was accepting Madame Cecilia Dape's resignation that at the end of this whole investigation, your integrity or your reputation will be fully restored? Is it that prophecy which is being is materializing at this moment, or is it because, like Lawyer Kwebu said, Section 1, Subsection 3 of the Anti-Money Laundering Act provides that when you are being investigated for money laundering and there are some properties under your care or your control or in your possession which you cannot account for or cannot be reasonably attributed to your sources of income, then you are guilty of offense. That's why they are refusing to do the investigation, or both. Otherwise, it really does not add up why Yoko, who is very fast at even being lawless in their investigation, will say this one which rather falls within our mandate, we will not investigate. So I think, like I said yesterday, all that we are seeking to do is to understand or know the story behind the story of this Madame Cecilia Dape's case. Thank you.
But so you think that what the statement the president made right from the beginning is what is influencing how things are playing out?
Doesn't it surprise you that he predicted it and it is coming out? It's almost coming out as he predicted. And remember, he didn't just say you will be exonerated. He said you and I, we know, the two of us. He said he, the president, and Cecilia Dape knows that it will not go anywhere. Nothing will happen, more or less, if I can paraphrase. So it's not surprising.
But Yoko have told their story. They say that they looked into the case as brought to them by the special prosecutor. There is really nothing to pursue in there. They will not waste their time on it. You say that their story is not believable?
In fact, they themselves don't even believe the story they are telling us. And they can say those to the Marines, but I don't think anybody will believe Yoko. Even your panelists have done a lot of justice to the issue. The inconsistencies in how they are narrating the money was generated and brought about, and the sheer volume of the money itself leaves a whole lot of questions. Let me also draw attention to another issue or side of the issue, which maybe Yoko did not look at. You know, under Article 286, Honorable Cecilia Dapa, being a minister, was required or is required to declare her assets to the Auditor General before assuming the position, maybe in 2017. I don't know when she started. And after every 4 years, and upon leaving office, she's supposed to do that. Clause 4 of Article 286 goes further to say that if after your first declaration, some assets are in your possession which cannot be attributed to a known source of income, gift, or otherwise, or any other justifiable means, then you have acquired those assets also, contrary to the Constitution. So I think there is a duty, at least for us to be sure that that requirement of the Constitution is met. Mind you, me that the attempt of OSP to get asset declaration information from the Auditor General failed, because the Auditor General said OSP was not mentioned in the law. So at least Yoko should have gone in to see that, oh, okay, let's even think that maybe the sources of income may be okay. But did they even declare this? Did they do all that? If they didn't do it, then it's disturbing. But just to base it upon the advice of the Minister of Justice, who we know is a colleague, a cabinet a member, or maybe a member of the government, the same team, advising that don't even investigate. Which advice, I'm not a lawyer, but I think it was wrongly, he wrongly advised. Because when there's such a serious allegation, I thought the first thing the Attorney General would have rather advised is do the investigation and let's see what you will find. And if after the investigation they bring out their findings, they say, oh no, this cannot hold water, forget about it, or let's go ahead and prosecute, I think that would be a professional way of advising. So these are some of the reasons why we think that at least there should be a probe so that we have the opportunity to hear the story from the horse's own mouth. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And please stay with me because I'm going to come back to you. But the fundamental issue here is that, I mean, beyond all of this unnecessary tough war that we are seeing amongst these bodies that are supposed to be focused on that's investigating this case, aren't you also concerned that even establishing an answer or getting an answer to the fundamental question of the source of this money is in limbo because of all of this back and forth that we're seeing?
Thank you very much, Albert. And a very good morning to my friends and brothers here, Martin and Rickett, and your good self. Before I deal with your issue, let me just advise all of us. You mentioned Mr. Daniel Yaodomnebo. His name, Yaodomnebo. I wasn't comfortable. At least Mr. is a title that is given to everybody.
And it's a fair point.
And Martin
it's a fair point.
It's
a fair point.
Listen.
No,
Martin
it's
also
a fair
said
point.
Kufuado. Well, at least give him some
we
of
say
his titles.
Obama. Biden.
Let me
Jimmy Carter.
Let me enjoy.
Kwame Nkrumah.
Let me enjoy.
So.
No. And I mentioned former President Mills.
Too long.
Former President. You see,
doesn't put food on the table.
No, let's be decorous a little bit. You see, when you mention the man's name without title, I wasn't comfortable.
I was actually happy. No, honorable. Honorable is not.
No. Me and you,
even with that,
we are friends. So I don't even expect you to call me Mr. Apiakubi. That is not necessary. Or even honorable. It doesn't necessary. It's not necessary. But for seniors in society like that, at least.
No, I think that, I mean, if there's a fair point, but I mean, just to let you know, there's a fair point. Yes, it's a fair point. You have stated your issue.
Okay, let me go to the issues. The list, and again, Martin, I want to be sure that this list is also not partisan. Martin, you are my friend, and you know my positions on such national issues.
Yes.
You did not even invite me if I wanted to be part of the petitioners.
Yeah,
you see,
it's my fault. My apologies.
You see, well, but again, I don't know the whole list, but I want to believe that it is also not partisan.
No.
In most of the cases, when issues of national interest come up, the best way to dissolve it is to make it partisan, so that it becomes a war between supporters of this party versus the supporters of that party. And that sometimes kills the initiatives that people bring to the fore. My belief is that there are people from various political parties. And I want to also state that this matter before us has no political colours. And I don't want anybody to even want me as a member of parliament on an NPP ticket to be partisan in my discussion. I won't.
Okay.
To be honest with you, investigations are instigated by suspicions. And when you suspect something, it doesn't automatically mean the person you suspect against is guilty. But we have to start investigations. My worry is that all the state institutions mandated to investigate matters of this nature, they are all shifting blame onto one another. It's a source of worry. So it means that the state institutions don't know the extent of their jurisdiction, and that they will even engage in this therefore, which is very unnecessary. Again, number 3, the extrajudicial pronouncements. And I am on record to have come here to say that the president's statement upon receipt of the resignation was needless. Now
that her integrity will be restored.
Yes, it was needless.
It was a needless statement.
Yes, it was a needless
by the president.
Yes, and I still stand by that position.
Thank you.
And you see, we're getting to a position where people are even making references to
that statement that the president
as a
made.
prediction that state institutions have been encouraged to justify. You see, so if that statement didn't come, where will this so-called justification have been made? So it was unnecessary. Number 4 is that I'm very happy with Mr. Domnabo's statement that he had to go to court to challenge the jurisdiction of that state institution that commenced the investigation against him, pursuant to his complaints and the call on another state institution to investigate a matter that was of public interest. And, you know, ordinarily, somebody will have folded his arms for that state institution to bully him. He set the target, he set the rules, he set also the line to also encourage Ghanaians that if you think that a state institution is abusing its mandate, you have to go to court to set the records right and also injunct that state institution from unduly exercising an uninvested mandate. So I want to commend him for doing that and setting a good example for all of us, so that in all cases, don't just fold your arms or throw your arms in despair. There is always a situation or process within the law that will allow you to also enjoy your freedom as a citizen. So, Mr. Domnabu, big ups to you.
Very important.
Declaration of assets. It's a requirement under the law.
Have you declared your assets?
Of course.
Fully.
You see, one thing,
honestly.
It's
a true reflection of your assets.
And indeed, it works to my advantage. Because when I'm leaving office, and somebody comes to tell me, oh, you have this house, you have that house, I say, go to my declaration.
Well, that
defends me. But if you don't declare, and then you are leaving office, somebody comes and say he has a house here, he has a house there, then you'll be struggling to justify your right because you built it not even when you were in office, or you built it in office, but you can also support it with evidence of your earnings. You understand? So it is good for the person who is declaring to declare, so that nobody will accuse you of having amassed wealth in office. And you know, me and my brother, we know that in Parliament, when you are a parliamentarian and you don't have any other source of income, there's nothing that you can do of prominence. You can't do anything. No politician, parliamentarian who has no other source of income can do the things that people are talking about. And my brother, tell me if I'm wrong. So it works to your advantage if you declare what you have coming into Parliament, for example. So I will encourage everybody to do that, because it is your cover, so that when somebody comes. But again, the law also requires you to do, and it points to a sanction system when you fail to do so. And Article 286(3), failure to declare or knowingly make false declaration shall be a contravention of this Constitution and shall be dealt with in accordance with Article 287. You see, when you breach this Constitution, there are sanctions that befall you. So why would you want to breach that Constitution? And again, declaring the asset is not a difficult matter. And the last time people were talking about publication of the asset, as far as I'm concerned, if Martin, if you knew that even before I came to the University of Ghana as a student, indeed, at that time, I had a pharmacy shop in Pig Farm, and I was earning income, and I had built houses even before coming to the university. But somebody will come and say that, oh, he just finished university, so, and he has a house. If you go to my village and tell them that Apiokubi has a house, you would not have said anything, because they know that I have done.
You have houses.
And I come here and tell you that I am a farmer. And if I earn something from the farming, and every year...
So would you support a publication of your assets?
Yes.
So that everybody gets to know?
And
you support that?
That is exactly what I'm doing. I have invited Martin over and over again to come to my farm. He won't come.
All right, that's okay. I mean...
So the declaration is not a punishment. It is rather a cover for a public officer.
Okay.
Again, if, like Madame Cecilia Dapa, if she had declared her assets to include A, B, C, D, sometimes even indicate a potential of income. It's on the form. You can. Because once you indicate that you are receiving, and again, for a public officer like her or me, you are not precluded from earning income, except that you need the leave of Parliament, of the Speaker, to be able to do other things. The last time I was in court in Kumasi, somebody said, he's a member of Parliament, he's not supposed to come here. I said, my friend, this is my certificate, Office for Profits.
So the Speaker gives you the permission?
The gives me the permission to do.
In this instance, we understand that did not happen. Right?
No,
Not in your case. In the Cecilia Dapa case.
Yes, I'm just saying that...
So never given anything to the OSP.
If Madame had declared and had taken leave to go into other businesses, she will not be facing the investigations that are ongoing currently. If she didn't do all that and she didn't declare her, then it becomes a suspicious volume of money stuck in her home. And that alone, the suspicion alone, should motivate the state institutions to investigate. I am not saying that she would have done anything wrong at that point. But through the investigation, she has also a right also of responses to the questions they raise about the found wealth. I would think that there is something amiss here. From the investigation to the point of prosecution, that is where somebody appears to assume the right to determine the justiciability of the matter. And I'm sure that the breach is coming from there. Whatever it is, if you believe that she is even right, it is the more reason why you should put up the case for her to prove her case.
So you would have expected that Iyoko Yoko should have started some form of investigation.
Yes, whatever the evidence that you have, because this suspicion, you cannot say that there's no substance and therefore there's no case to bring before the court. No. Prepare your brief, go to the court, and let her also have the opportunity to prove her case. If even you have her, I would even advise them that, yes, put me before the court. So it is an opportunity for you to make your case, or for the evidence against you to be established to lead to the consequences before the court. So once you decide not to do that, then many people begin to think whys and hows will come. So for me, the state institutions have not satisfied me by not putting the matter before. I heard Attorney General saying that we have no evidence to, or you see, we haven't found anything, and this one says this. Look, if you haven't found, why are the courts there? Go to the court and let the court make that determination, which will be final.
Right.
If at the court you are cleared of any wrongdoing, it is in perpetuity, you didn't do it. But for now, if you don't go through the process of exonerating yourself, and we find ways of avoiding the due process of the law, you cannot take that suspicion also away from the minds of people. So for me, prosecution is necessary, because even once we realize that if the declaration has not occurred, if we find huge monies in the pocket of Apia Kubi, and Apia Kubi, for me, we think that he doesn't have the capacity to generate such revenue, let him go to court, and then the court will set me free or impeach me. So on the Cecilia Dapar case, I think we must end the process of investigation and prosecution.
But can Parliament be trusted, even with, because the petitioners have now shifted?
Well, they have come to Parliament, but again,
to you
in Parliament, I don't have a right to nominate myself as a committee member. You see, it is a prerogative of the
leadership of both sides
to select. No, the speaker.
In this case,
to select his committee. It's the speaker's committee to be established. So it's the prerogative of the speaker to say, Rickett, Martin, you see. So if you are selected, you want to do a good job to ensure that we put matters to rest. But most of the time in the parliamentary processes, they will say leaders of parliament nominate committee members, and the speaker will only be furnished with a list of nominees. And in your selection, they are also sometimes unnecessarily careful, so that they think that this one we will
not
think
go and
this
say
way,
some things.
this one we think that way. So you see, you don't have a situation that will take advantage of the many competencies we have to bring even into a determination like that. So you can be sure that the people who come to the committee would also have an opinion before being selected.
Well, with what you have said here, I'm sure the petitioners will even want you to be on the committee.
Absolutely. But I can assure you that I will not be.
Anyway, but let me do this quickly, and then I think we'll have to conclude on this matter.
It's not that I wouldn't want to be.
And
you will not be selected. I cannot select myself.
Okay, right. But the 2024 edition of the 3FM Tour to Ghana, just took a quick detour, and I'll come to Mr. Daniel Domelevo and then also lawyer Martin Pebo. What you're seeing on the screen now, and for those of you listening to us on 3FM 92.7, is the 2024 edition of the 3FM Tour to Ghana. It's more than just a race. This year's event becomes a movement for change with a focus on pedaling for climate change and promoting inclusive paracycling participation. They are moving right now. The race has just started from the starting point here at the forecourt of TV3 and 3FM at Adesawe Kanda. So those having the benefit of watching us on the television, the cyclists are just moving from the starting point, and they are making their way all the way to Kwewu. They are cycling from here, TV3, to Kwewu in the eastern region. And we will be following them every step of the way. I don't think any of us on this table can cycle to Kwewu.
I nearly returned when I saw the crowd before.
Kwewu is not far.
So, Martin, I nearly returned when I saw the crowd before.
Oh, okay.
I see. Policemen and they say, what is happening?
I see. So there are paracyclists and then the amateurs as well who are part of them. So there you have it. And we can only wish them all the best.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good luck to them.
And indeed. And we will be giving updates as we go on. This is the 3FM Tour to Ghana. But coming back and quickly, and Mr. Demolovo, so seeing the nature of this parliament, this 8th parliament, even though a hung parliament, in previous instances, this week, that case of Ken Oforiatta came up. This motion for censorship,
yes,
and how it played out.
Yes.
They've proven to be very partisan. Do you think they are going to, and based on this, or some of these previous instances, going to meet your expectation as petitioners, if this bipartisan probe is even instituted into this Cicely Adapa case? If you can unmute for me. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Great. In the discharge of my duties as a public officer, I do it to the best of my ability with good intentions. And I assume the same for every public officer. I think it is our civic responsibility to petition Parliament and leave the rest to them. If we don't believe in Parliament, then why did we go there? It will be contradictory to say that we think Parliament will not do good job, but we went to them. So we believe they will do good job. The fact that what they did in the past may not be satisfactory to some people, or to you, or to me, does not necessarily mean, does not necessarily mean they did a wrong thing, or they will be doing a wrong thing. So as far as I'm concerned, I believe the Parliament will do the needful. The most important thing is that we want to know the story behind the story. What is making it difficult for institutions of states to discharge their roles or the duties imposed upon them by law? We want to know that. And if this is brought to the fore, I think it will be good. Like I said in one of the interviews, all we are seeking for is to know the story behind the story. Is it just a refusal? Or is it because we are doing it in sympathy, or we are part of a looting brigade or something? What are the reasons? We want to know those reasons. Thank you.
Oh, well, indeed, thank you. And you're also a joint petitioner in this case as well. And that faith that you have in Parliament to really do a good job. And Mr. Demolovo, please stay with me, because we're getting into this conversation of Martin Amidu and the latest petition to the president to have Kiseja being removed, a special prosecutor.
Okay, yes, Mr. Ocansey, I have faith to some extent, right? Yes, because we all know that Parliament is quite a weak institution. That's why I say I have faith to some extent. And the Speaker himself, in one of the speeches about 4 months ago, acknowledged it. Yeah, so it cannot be that we think Parliament will provide all the answers. But looking at the conclusion of Parliament, it moves the case forward. Once the Speaker admits it and sets up the committee, that in itself is a huge step forward. You see, I keep saying that every time we are analyzing, we shouldn't just jump to the final conclusion, like the Oforiatta case. Oh, did the censure pass or not? No. If you do that, then it means we are not being analytical enough. You have to look at the process. How did it go from point 1 to point 2? The questions Oforiatta answered. You see, he had to admit that, yes, when we borrow, data bank makes money. That's huge. It's a big indictment on him and President Kufuor, who came on the back of what? The corruption in the Mahama administration. We thought it was so nauseating, and that he will not do family and friends No, I'm not corrupt. When was the last time you heard President Akufo-Addo use that phrase again? I'm not corrupt and I'm incorruptible. You see, that time is proving that he's... Oh, then he was joking.
No, that was last year.
Last year, oh, then he was joking. When you put your brother... So in Akufo-Addo's definition of corruption, even putting his brother as finance minister alone, it's corruption. That appointment alone, because Akufo-Addo said the definition of corruption is that no family and friends business. Well, don't bring in family and friends. So putting his brother as finance minister in itself is the first stage of corruption. Then stage 2, data bank makes money. Right now, if you Google Ministry of Finance, their website, you see it there. It's there on the website. Just Google Ministry of Finance. They tell you the bonds. It's not hidden there. It's on your phone. You say. So the point is that when Oforiatta, when the answers he gave, indicted him for the rest of his life, he and his wife, family, all of them, they are tainted. So if I see Oforiatta's son with a Porsche car, I'll say, proceeds of
point
corruption.
well made. Point well
So
made.
let's go on. So the point is that this one, when the speaker sets up the committee, that in itself, we've moved our democracy forward. Madam Tiwa Adanka will come and answer. Some of the questions will definitely, the answers will nail her. Godfrey Dame will come and answer. Godfrey Dame went and sat on Joy FM and lied that Tiwa had done a comprehensive investigation, contracts, witnesses, etc. Meanwhile, Godfrey Dame's own letter says otherwise, where they said, you may commence the investigation. You may commence, but it is not necessary. That's the letter Godfrey Dame asked Evelyn Kilson to sign. Then Godfrey Dame went to contradict himself. So please, I'm not always interested in just final outcome, but the process itself, questions, answer, and that is the meaning of accountability. Accountability is not always about, oh, we've thrown the person in jail, we have reduced the salary, we have demoted the person. No. When you are asked questions in the hearing, that in itself, as you answer, is also a phase of accountability. So let's go on with it, by all means. Okay?
Okay, thank you. Well, on that bit about what has been done by both Iyoko and in this case the special prosecutor, it leads me to the next conversation because there's some correlation in there. The former special prosecutor, in fact, the first special prosecutor of the Republic of Ghana, Martin Alamisi Burns Kaiser Amidu, has petitioned President Akufo-Addo to have his successor removed as special prosecutor. And these were the grounds for his petition. We'll put that on the screen right now. It talks about violation of citizens' right to information, violation of citizens' rights through arrests and detentions, abuse of judges and administration of justice, procurement breaches, appointment breaches. These were the 5 grounds that Martin Alamisi Burns Kaiser Amidu is asking the president to look at to remove Kessie Jabing as special prosecutor. Now, let me just take you back a bit and take a listen to, these are the grounds as you see there. And as we do know now, this petition was forwarded to the Chief Justice, who was written to Special Prosecutor Kessie Jabing to provide his comments on the petition that has been filed by his predecessor, Martin Amidu, for his removal.
Yes, because he said they've done that.
Take a listen to the Special Prosecutor Kessie Jabing sometime last year. In fact, it was December last year when he addressed the press. And, you know, aside from the Ankwa Noma thing that I talked about, take a listen to something that he said before singing the Ankwa Noma song. Take a look.
Wait, let us bring before you the body of our investigation as evidence. Now, if you look at it and you decide that the evidence does not show up to the standard of proof required in criminal cases, then you can dismiss it. But don't prevent us from doing our work, from investigating. It is dangerous. As I said, I wasn't sounding as a prophet of doom, but there is doom looming ahead of us. That very soon, a murderer will boldly walk to court to seek an injunction. Should I feel frustrated and resign? I took an oath when I was sworn in. And in my life, when I take on the reins to do something, I do it to the best of my ability. I ought to. Those who do not understand tree, please forgive me. They say I'm a unkwanoma. Me de me cry abo for it. Me hear the me to me.
So, just for the benefit of those who don't understand tree, he says he's a lonely bird. That he's only doing what he can do. When his time is up, he will go. But, Mr. Demolovo, Martin Amidu has not hidden his disapproval of Kissie Jabin's motives in some instances, some of the decisions that he has taken. But listening to Kissie Jabin right now, that he wasn't sounding as a prophet of doom, but it appears that what he feared is just playing out in a very interesting way, is it not?
It is. And being a former Auditor General who tried to fight corruption, I know what Honorable Kissie Jabin is facing. And to me, it's very sad. I have said time and again that once you fight corruption, corruption will fight you back. I did not even know the dates until I saw that the petition of Honorable Martin Amidu, it's reaching the Chief Justice writing to Kissie Jabin, all happened within it's not up to 30 days. So I say, hey, this conveyor belt can work very fast in some cases. And in some other cases, which are several years ago, I'm very sure that you know there were about 2 petitions against the Electoral Commissioner. And I'm sure those petitions have still not found itself onto the conveyor belt. And there was a petition also against the former Chief Justice, I think.
Yes, so far yes.
Yes, it has still not reached the conveyor belt. So I said this conveyor belt work sometimes at neck-breaking speed. And at times it does not work. My only surprise is that this petition is coming from Honorable Martin Amidu.
What's the surprise?
That he doesn't have the right so to do, but if I were in his position, I will not participate in doing anything to remove my successor from office. That is my only reservation about it. And everyone, including Honorable Martin Amidu, should know that Kissie Jabin, being at the forefront of fighting corruption, will not be a favorite one at the office of the president. So he just walked into a trap or created a favorable environment for the office of the president to expedite action. Otherwise, more serious allegations were made against other people. And the presidency has not found it right to forward such allegations or those petitions to the Chief Justice. So this selective way of administering justice, I think, does not help our country. And I particularly, let me be honest with you, I find the new development very, very unfortunate. Thank you.
I see. But that element of surprise, you're not the only one who shares in there that it is coming from Martin Amidu. And taking into consideration what he has also said in time past about President Akufo-Addo, what posture are you expecting of the president about this petition coming from Martin Amidu?
Well, I don't know how to put it. But you see, forgive me, all my life I've worked as an accountant and I'm an accountant. Consistency is very important in our profession. One of the fundamental principles in accounting is consistency. You can't treat the same transaction in different ways. No. If you treat it in a certain way, then you must continue treating until there's a justification. And even that, our standard practice requires that you must disclose what justified the change in the modus operandi. Otherwise, you must continue. So, when we are aware that several petitions have been going to or have gone to the presidency and they didn't do anything about it or them, I expected the same to have happened in this case. But interestingly, the conveyor belt, as I said, started moving at neck-breaking speed. And forgive me if it is not true, but an unconfirmed source tells me that by next week, they may be asking him to step aside so that somebody may be active until the investigation is finished.
No.
And to me, the story behind the story is that corruption is fighting back. It may not be a joint exercise between the presidency and Martin. Martin may be fighting a genuine cause from his point of view, but they were waiting for Kisia Jabe. And I think Martin has has pressed the button and they are going with it. That is my considered opinion. Thank you.
See, this information that you're getting, that he may be asked, I mean, Mr. Kisia Jabe as special prosecutor may be asked to step aside until investigations into this petition, the grounds of this petition are over. I mean, if this happens, what will be the message in there for you?
Yeah, it is, to me, it will mean that definitely they are in a hurry to get him off. Because definitely, Honorable Kisia Jabe did not read his terms of reference correctly, if you allowed me to say. What I mean is, I'm being sarcastic. I don't mean that he didn't read it well. Most of the times, when you are appointed into anti-corruption position, you think your job or your mandate, as PLO Lumumba said, you think your job is to fight corruption. But your appointers, or those who appointed you, they want you to just pretend fighting corruption. I think that was his mandate, but he misread it. He thought his job is supposed to fight corruption. Hence, corruption is fighting back, and maybe people are not happy with him. So I will not be surprised if that comes to. I hope you know that it is part of the provisions in the Constitution. I think under Article 146 or so, the president can ask you to step aside when the investigation is being conducted. And somebody whispered into my ears that that is going to be done. And I said, ooh, I won't be surprised. So we wait and see anyway.
Indeed, we'll wait and see. But that video I just played, he sounded a caution. He says he's not being a prophet of doom. But based on what he has seen, and this is coming from a serving current special prosecutor saying that a time is going to come when a murderer will walk free. That's the reality.
I cannot agree more with him. If you have served in such a position before, especially in my position as Auditor General, at times you wonder why even the position was created. It's like, it feels like just don't do your work. Because anytime you move, it's like, why are you moving? Anytime you cough, why are you coughing? You see, unfortunately, you are not able to share all this information with the public. So if you can see into what Honorable Kisia Jabe is saying, I think he's a highly frustrated person. And he means well for the country, I think. So let's wait and see how things pan out. I don't want to come out with a lot of things which I cannot substantiate, because this, I said, are hearsays and they are not confirmed sources. But we've had a lot of people reach out and tell you a whole lot of things, which to me is disturbing. As a country, we must take the fight against corruption serious. And mind you, I believe Lawyer Kwebu will agree with me that one of the directive principles of state policy in our constitution is that the state should take steps to eradicate corrupt practices and abuse of office.
Yeah.
And I don't see that coming anytime soon. If anything at all, we are enhancing corrupt practices and abuse of office. At times, the abuse even comes from the highest level of the government, which I think is unfortunate.
In the highest level being the presidency?
Of course, yes. Who abused the office against me? Is it not the president? Thank you.
Daniel Yao Demelovo, please stay with me, Demelovo, because there are other issues that I'll come to you on, because other questions that some of the things you said that I'll come back to you on. But coming back in studio, I mean, listening to Mr. Demelovo, he's been there, neck deep, in an institution that is also charged with the fight against corruption. And then when you hear what Mr. Kisi Jabeng also said as a special prosecutor, that the time is coming, even, I think we're even at this point, where Medress will walk free. Yeah. And then you see how things are playing out now. Who do you agree that, and then I'll start with you, Mr. Hagan, that this is corruption fighting back? That Kisi Jabeng, a special prosecutor, maybe is doing much more than he was expected to do. So this is an attempt to curtail his movement. And the person that is doing this, in this case, his predecessor, Martin Amidu. What does this tell you?
Well, Alfred, it tells me clearly that not only is corruption fighting back, but corruption is actually winning. And I've just been, you know, this is the second time I've seen the video of Kisi Jabeng. And on that day, when I saw it, I was really, really sad. You saw a man crying for help. Mm-hmm. That was what he was doing, just basically crying for help. That I am somewhere I did not expect to be. I didn't know this is how things were going to turn out. Mm-hmm. And it was also a man who had put his hand up and said, look, it looks like I can't do this. Not that he can't do it, but he's basically being prevented from doing it. And he will do the best he can while he can and while he's still there. And I'm you know, from the former Auditor General's what he was saying, this is really spot on. That it has become clear that even from the president, when he started about going to fight corruption and all that, he didn't actually mean to fight corruption, but to be seen to be fighting corruption, not necessarily, you know, with a conviction to fight corruption. And along the chain, whoever he appoints to be in that team of fighting that corruption is only to be seen. You know, it's like he said, you've been put there, you know, that you should fight corruption, but really not to fight it. Mm-hmm. It doesn't even make sense. Now, the shocking thing, and I think it shocks many people, is for Mr. Martin Amidu to be the one to call for, you know, his successor's head, knowing very well that, I mean, he went through similar things, but I must be honest that Mr. Kisi Jabeng has probably been more successful than he could ever be.
As special prosecutor?
Yes. Not, it wasn't entirely his fault, but obviously the same thing that is being meted to, you know, Mr. Jabeng is the same thing he went through, but obviously he couldn't survive it. This man has done more than he could ever do in that position under the circumstance that he was in. Obviously, he started it, so he had an initial, you know, challenges as a startup. Mm-hmm. But then nothing seems to have changed, and this man is crying his eyes out for the job that he has taken, given to him by people that he probably trusted and know to an extent, and thought that they were going to give him a free hand to do the job, only to realize that they were going to put him on his chair, tie his hand, you know, behind his back, and basically sit there and like do nothing. It's like watch a paint dry, you know, painted the place, just see it to dry, and then that's all that you have to do. And as he said, even a cough becomes troublesome for some people, the people who have appointed you to do that job. I mean,
you're supposed to just sit there and do nothing?
Yeah, do nothing. Just watch a paint dry.
But that's why you're appointed. Fight corruption. That's the special prosecutor's job.
Well, he's been there. You know, this is from the horse's own mouth. He's been in that position. And this is how he felt or still feels, you know, that he can understand. He can relate to what Mr. Kissi Ejamin is going through. And you could hear from him when he was talking. It was such a sad, you know, speech. Really, really sad. And it gives you no hope that if this is what is happening to him, then this whole corruption thing, you know, we should close the shop and go away. But then how can we do that? Then it means we have failed as a nation in holding any position of trust. When people are basically abusing positions and people are supposed to check them, not really, but they are supposed to check them.
I see.
This is sad.
But Matbebu, you've described this as a very unnecessary, you know.
It is actually unnecessary. By as I said, by the former, you know, the prosecution, you know, was Martin Hamidou. Really unnecessary. You wouldn't expect that from him. I mean, he should know better. He should know better. Sorry, Martin, I sort of barging. He should know better. I mean, this is ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. I mean, to write to Nana Akufo-Addo itself, the president of Nana Akufo-Addo itself, is shocking to me. Looking at what has, you know, transpired between, you know, the two of them in the past.
So the enemy of your enemy is your friend, is it not?
I mean, you write. He called him what? Mother serpent
of corruption.
And then you write a letter to the mother serpent to basically get rid of somebody who's fighting, who's supposed to be fighting corruption, who succeeded you.
But he gives reasons why. I mean, is that to say, and I'll come to you, is that to say that all these 5 grounds that he's seeking Kissi Ejabin's removal are without basis or necessary?
Okay.
Yes, these 5, and we'll put that on the screen right now.
Look, and let's repeat this as a preliminary point. I think the fact that Kissi blew the whistle on this money laundering allegation, that has kept this Cecilia Dapaah matter going. It's not being recognized enough. I think we are not recognizing it. So do we realize that when he was done, he could have said, I don't find corruption and corruption-related offenses. Full stop. Done. And this matter would have been dead. But for the part Attorney General says he has asked police to investigate sources, that wouldn't have come because Attorney General hasn't even told us that publicly. I don't seem to remember. If I've forgotten, somebody should bring that out. But even if it was done months ago, then at least at the time Kissi was handing over the file, maybe AG could have reiterated that fact that, oh, Ghanaians, rest assured, this matter is still being investigated by police, blah, blah, blah. Do you get it? So the point is that let's celebrate what he did. But for that courage to blow the whistle that, hey, though I don't find corruption, please, this looks like money laundering. The niece of Mr. Osei Kufuor saying I gave $10,000 to people on the plane, strangers. And that when they got here, she collected all the money back. Hey, such cock and bull stories, etc. We have Kissi Ejabin to thank for. So I'll tell you, and you know me, Kissi, you know, I still haven't left the matter of he letting off a Dubois here in Baumia, the case in which a Dubois collected $40,000 and demanded about $200,000 for Baumia, the appearance fee case, the Anas this in video, right? I haven't left it. I'll be suing him. But it doesn't mean that just because I want to take him on that matter, I should jump onto Martin Amidu's petition. No, no. I want to be very objective. They say, is it in Chi, Honorable, they say, Otan Okodua, the way in America, right? Yes, let's celebrate this, let's celebrate it, because if you hadn't mentioned this money laundering, that's it. And now today, because of what he's done, we are bold enough to say the docket has explosive material.
So the timing even of this petition is one that has to be taken into consideration.
Yes, so this petition is seen as it's a distraction. The docket, where we should be placing emphasis, the docket, the OSP docket with the 20 statements. Master, the wealth of information in there. Listen, Iyoko should go back for that file. Redact information about the statements, right? The names, addresses of people, right? And publish all the 20 statements, let's see. You will see the explosion in Ghana. Clear evidence. I gave 10,000 to people on the airplane, people you hardly knew. And when you got there, everybody returned the money. Hey, what is this? If you sweat and get 10,000, you get hundreds of thousands of dollars, will you risk giving strangers so that you calm down and then all the strangers will gather and give you back your money, etc.? And then the heirloom, you know, they always put out this information too, that some of the staff that were with her, the people in the Cecilia Dape's village answered. Master, the wealth of information in there. So when I look at Martin Amidu's petition, I'm like, Jesus Christ, is that how to pay back Kisi for this yeoman's job? Is that how to pay back Kisi for this yeoman's job? Okay, so that's my preliminary comment. Now let's go into the petition. And
violation of citizens' right to information. Violation of citizens' right through arrest and detention.
Yes, let's start with citizens' right to information. It beggars believe that is a foundation for a petition, or that is part of a petition. If you apply to the OSP, and I'm not supporting OSP on the merits, listen, I'm not well informed as to exactly what he asked for, except the information Martin Amidu himself put out in his website, the things about asking for CVs of all the OSP employees, yes, all the contracts, etc., right? Those are the details will come in. So right now, I'm not dealing with the merits. I can't even deal with the merits. I want us to deal with the law. If you apply for this information and it is not given, what do you do? Thank you, Honorable Apiaku. Within the same law, the RTI, yes, you escalate it to the Information Commission. And I'm sure Mr. Amidu went. First, he asked for the information from PPA. Then PPA said, these things you are asking for, there are too many. Please, go to OSP. Then I see OSP saying, no, we cannot give you because they are a security agency. It will compromise the work they do, etc. So once they gave those answers, you are not satisfied, you go back to Information Commissioner. If the Information Commissioner makes a determination against OSP and they are not complying, Information Commissioner will go to court. Right now, as I sit here, you remember the case I did against the Auditor General, the Human Rights and Governance Center. I did a case for the Human Rights and Governance Center. Auditor General refused to give that information. They're talking about Johnson Ekwuamoa-Sedu. He refused to give the information because they conducted illegal recruitments in the audit service, putting Kufuor up those favorites, right? That's why they are ashamed to bring out the list. So the point is that right now, as we said, the Information Commissioner is preparing to take the matter to court. Information Commissioner is preparing to take the matter to court. And you see, when was the last time I've never even mentioned this, that the Information Commissioner is preparing to take the matter to court? Yes. No, you see, I can't do it all the time. I don't even discuss it. So that is due process, because I just feel like, let due process this and happen, right? So, Mr. Amidu, you apply and OSP is giving you some reasons. They say no. Go back to the Information Commissioner, let him make the determination, and then from there you go to court. Remember this in the stinking SML deal that has embarrassed Kufuor and his family through Euphoria test conduct. What has happened? The presidency refused to give the Media Foundation for West Africa the information, right? Media Foundation has gone back to Information Commissioner. They've also said they are going to court. Exhaust the remedies. You haven't exhausted local remedies. How can you say we should use that as basis to impeach Kisi Jabe? The same thing, you say violation of citizens' rights. When Cecilia Adapa was arrested, when Frimpong Boati was arrested.
No, it says violation of citizens' rights through arrests.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
And detention.
Yes, so we call this, he's talking about unlawful arrest and forced imprisonment, okay? Unlawful arrest is in the Constitution, and it's also, you have it as a tort, okay, for that, so you can get civil remedies, compensation. So one would have thought that if those citizens had sued, we sue the police service all the time. If you sue and the court finds OSP liable, then, and also orders compensation to be paid, then you use those as basis to now ask for his impeachment, because you say, oh, this is a rogue OSP who is not acting within law, and because of that, the court has found him liable or found the office liable, and they are paying X amount of money. So because of that, remove him. But you have not sued. Frimpong Boati has not gone to court. Cecilia Adapa has not gone to court on that arrest thing. No court has found OSP liable. And you are just saying that based on what you've seen, you are going to give it to a committee. No, I think there will even be jurisdictional issues, because things that you are supposed to take to court, get findings against the OSP before you use as basis of your petition. You've not done so. You are just saying that you think the way this was done is wrong. That committee is not a court of law. The committee they are going to set up there, it's not a court of law. I don't see, if you want to use facts that OSP has done anything wrong, exhaust the remedies, the local remedies provided by law. So when that is done, then you now use it as basis to file for his impeachment. Okay? And like Honorable Rickett Hagan has stated, you see, Kissi Ejiabin has moved the conversation far forward. Mr. Amidu started, he himself complained Akufo-Addo was interfering in the work. He resigned. Kissi is come and move it. Like I'm saying, we are not saying Kissi is an angel, he can get everything right. No. But if you add everything together, you get a positive sum. Yes, so far, yes, there have been problems. As I said, the Dubois and Bawumia matter. It's not dying. But that doesn't mean we should just say he should get out. And you know why? Now, Amidu is served as an opportunity for President Akufo-Addo to get Kissi out. Akufo-Addo had asked Kissi to resign a few months ago. The time he was doing this Ankwa Numa, yes.
You know.
Yes, I know. I also have my sources. I think people at the presidency are happy.
Your sources where?
People at the presidency. You think people are happy about the things Akufo-Addo is doing?
They said
yes, he asked him to resign. Kissi said, no, lie, I'm not going anywhere. Because you know why? Akufo-Addo is scared that the way Kissi is shown a bit of independence, a bit of steel, if he leaves Kissi in office, Kissi is likely to prosecute him and his appointees.
But that's what the president said when he was swearing Kissi Ejiabin in, that he expects that he would do his work with independence. Yeah. And so why would
but
you
he
say
didn't mean it.
That the president didn't mean it?
No, he didn't mean it. It's a PR stunt. That's why you know, PR. The Office of Special Prosecutor is a PR stunt by Akufo-Addo. By now today, he hasn't given him the establishment budget. They need forensic lab, they need machines, they need cyber equipment, etc. He hasn't funded. It's just a PR stunt that, yes, we set up the office, but he didn't mean it to act. Honorable Rickett Hagan mentioned it. Domlevo mentioned it. That's it. It's a PR stunt. That's what I'm telling you. But
the office has been giving some more.
See through it.
But the office has been giving some more resources.
Yes,
more than what Martin Amidu had, isn't it?
Parliament had to come in. That's how come last year over 200 officers were recruited. Parliament had to step in and say, no, Master, move forward. We also did a petition. You know, we've been making noise here. That's why it's moved the Akufo-Addo. He never meant this institution to work well. It's just a PR stunt. So now he's seen that, hey, Kissi has balls. This guy, when I leave office, this guy will prosecute me. And true, but I'm preparing to file a petition for Akufo-Addo's prosecution.
You have indicated
that.
Yes,
I will be filing it. Other people are lacing their boots. You will see the petitions against Akufo-Addo and his appointees when they leave office. So now he's jittery. So then quickly, when he saw this Amidu's thing, he's encouraging it. He's become the cheerleader of this petition. When in the past, Oliver Bakavoma presented a petition months, yes, he would not forward it. You remember the former Chief Justice, the petition. He would not forward it. All those things. And then today you say you are fighting corruption. But
you see, Martin Amidu, if you look at it, has not minced words on his disapproval of Mr. Kissi Agyabeng's decisions in the past, is it not? I mean, right from the time he assumed office, at least I can remember in the first 6 months, there was an epistle from Martin Amidu already. Then it continued up until, I think, the the third week of January or so, when he issued a statement, if you recall. After this Ankwanoma press conference, then there was some sort of consultation or meeting between the judiciary and the OSP, because the OSP had complained about how certain cases were playing out in court. Then a statement was issued that there's collaboration now between the OSP and the judiciary and so on. After that press conference, Martin Amidu comes and says, you know, that statement is fake. It cannot be coming from the judiciary in that instance. In December 2023, I recall Martin Amidu putting out another epistle accusing Mr. Kissi Agyabeng of suppressing investigation. He was consistent even at some time in August last year, also putting out a statement about the procurement issues that he cites in this petition. About
where is the evidence?
Well, I mean,
where is the evidence?
You recall that last year some reports of the vehicles that, you know, where he had sought.
But that's a one-sided story. We haven't seen any communication from procurement authority that Kissi Agyabeng OSP breached the law. We haven't seen anything. We haven't seen. So I'm like, but how? Or is it? So I googled to find out. You haven't seen any pronouncement from the procurement authority.
But you know that sometime in August, I think August 2022, that Martin Amidu petitioned the Public Services Commission.
Yes.
About some decisions by Mr. Kissi Agyabeng, I mean, or the Special Prosecutor's Office. Now, I got copies of that. We'll put that on the screen as we go on, just for the benefit of our viewers.
Yes.
In fact, Mr. Emmanuel Amadou Basintale was mentioned in this petition by Martin Amidu to the Public Service Commission, described as Kissi Agyabeng's personal friend and former client. Resigned as a superintendent of police and was immediately employed as a director of investigation at the Special Prosecutor's Office, a position equivalent to a commissioner of police in the Ghana Police Service. Then one Albert Akurugu. You have mentioned this name before on this platform. Described as a brilliant GRA officer who Kissi Agyabeng wanted seconded to the OSP but was refused. An incident that created bad blood between him and Colonel Kojo Damwa. You remember Colonel Kojo Damwa in this Labianca case? That the Special Prosecutor investigated. Okay. And this is Martin Amidu's own opinion. We don't know anything beyond what he put in this.
So
and then you have Samida Akon as well, who have been speaking to. He captured him in that petition to the Public Service Commission, described as an associate of law firm Cromwell Gray LLP, founded by Kissi Agyabeng, until his appointment as a director at the OSP, and then, you know, a few others. So this is one that you would say he has been on this path. For all this period.
But the matter is that under Article 199, okay, no, 195, the appointments, okay, they usually, appointments are by the president. The appointment, the power to appoint persons who hold or act in an office in the public services shall vest in the president, blah, blah. Then let's go to 2. It says the president may, subject to such conditions as he may deem fit, delegate some of his functions under this article by directions in writing to the governing council concerned, or to a committee of the council, or to any member of the governing council, or to any public officer. So Kissi Agyabeng sought authorization from the president and appointed those people.
Right.
That's what he did. And it's constitution, it's law. He sought authorization from the president and appointed those people. And there's been, you see, there's been this huge problem in the public service. There are some people who in the appointment process, you have to go through Public Services Commission, you know, all that. It's a huge problem. Lots of senior public servants, if not gone through that process. It didn't start today. It's a different kettle of fish. If we press this point too hard, then the public service will collapse. If we press this too hard, but as far as I'm aware, he sought authorization from the president and did the appointments. So, and then their governing council was subsequently set up, and they have. So you wait, like Kisi would answer. The only pain is that once the petition is pending now, it's already distracting the office. Yes, it's a huge reputational loss. It's a huge distraction. But as for the answers, yes, I believe you would answer. So what we also need to do, so that it will show that as citizens we are active, maybe we can put together 1,000 signatures showing that we stand with the OSP as Kisi is going through the impeachment process. That would be very useful. Yes, let's do a petition. 1,000 citizens at least standing with Kisi Ejabe as he goes through the impeachment, proceedings, because then that will help, so that we see that citizens are not just sleeping. We can't sit for Kisi to just be thrown out of office. No, Akufo-Addo wants a malleable candidate. That will not happen. He wants a die-hard MPP person to be appointed, the type that he will go to bed knowing that no matter what, that person will block any attempts to prosecute Akufo-Addo and his appointees. But that will not happen. Ghana belongs to all of us. It won't happen.
Let me come in.
Going to court.
Bring lawyer Apiakobe on this. I'll come back on this abuse of judges and administration of office.
Yeah, it's just a comment.
I'll come to you on that.
Thank you, Albert. On my part, I want to acknowledge the fact that a constitutional process has begun.
Right.
And when such a situation arises, I think ordinarily our commentaries ought to be measured so that we don't be seen to be making determinations that are reserved for other constitutional bodies.
Right.
I am a bit surprised at the issues raised, but be it as they are, they have been accepted as issues to be determined by the institutions. I'll be very careful. I will not go into it. I probably would not have endorsed those issues, except the one on procurement.
Right.
If there are procurement breaches,
yes,
there are various provisions in the law that allow citizens to commence an action. And indeed, many times I advertise Article 41 and the responsibility on Ghanaians to ensure that public purse is protected and public property is protected. And it's a civil process that all Ghanaians can be clothed with capacity to undertake. Because I don't want to comment on the results of the petition, I would want us also as citizens, if we feel and see and have evidence to support some of the claims, then we can also undertake the due process of law, which will also restore public property and public interest. Beyond that, Mr. Matemidu, he has a civil right to initiate such action. So I would not criticize him. It is his right. But what I would do is that let us fast track the process so that the resolution will come quickly, and then we can have the decision that will support the process, be it an impeachable evidence obtained or otherwise. But I also want to commend Mr. Kisi Ejabe for being the professional that he has been and stating the position as he finds it in his investigations. Nevertheless, I want to encourage Mr. Kisi Ejabe also that if you fail in a case in court, that does not necessarily mean you are incompetent or you have not done well or that you are unduly being frustrated. In fact, these court cases that came up some time ago, I was a little surprised that Mr. Kisejami was sharing such frustration because we have all been managers of chambers before, and Martin, I'm sure, and sometimes it is not you who is the senior lawyer in the chamber who will do all the cases. Sometimes you delegate a junior lawyer to do a case under your supervision though. But you may not be in the courtroom all the time. So when you are confronted with a situation that requires an application of the rule of law or a process or procedure, you will be on your feet. You will not have the luxury of referring to your senior for guidance. And sometimes you will make mistakes. And even senior lawyers make mistakes all the time. But when you go to the court and you don't succeed in what you set out to do, you will learn something from the process. You will learn something from the determination by the judicial representative, that's the judge. So for me, sometimes when you know that you would have erred procedurally or by invocation of the appropriate law, you come back and learn and prepare and correct yourself and go back. You don't throw your hands in despair like I was seeing him. In the initial applications to the court also relied on the laws and dismissed some of those applications. But for me, it was not a foreclosed situation that you cannot do anything. And in one of the reasoning behind the ruling, the court was giving direction as you should have done this, you should have done this in this way, you should have done it in that way. So even where the matter has been struck out, in the case of an application struck out, you can come back. Even where the matter has been dismissed, there's an opportunity to go up and prove yourself or test the law. So just throwing your hands out in despair at the instant court, I'm not sure it's the best thing to do. Sometimes you need to test the law. But the petition is already filed, and President has referred it to. You will remember the former EC Electoral Commissioner's case.
Charlotte Osei, you mean?
Madam Charlotte Osei. This matter was referred to the CJ, and the process continued. So I think this one too, it will continue. Let's have the patience to wait for the constitutional process to end. And then we can hold on to the determination. For nothing at all, we are out from the procedure and processes and also the determination. What I don't like of Martin's submission is testing the quality of the issues.
Well,
I think that is the principle of the court.
The start of it is even unnecessary in itself.
It's not at a court. That's why.
It's a constitutional process that has been ignited. It's a constitutional process. I would prefer that I hold on and give the space to the constitutionally mandated institutions to perform.
But you are,
albeit that I have my own opinion that may align with the thinking of Martin, but I will not make any pronouncements. But expect that the process is expedited for us to get the necessary results, and for all of us to be so advised, and all of us to be so embedded with the necessary knowledge. So let it proceed. But I want to encourage Honorable Kisi Ejabe that the loss of one battle is not the end of the war. So learn from the loss and come back stronger than before. And then let us appreciate your exposé on the law and your advocacy, and indeed your reference to procedural directions as given by the law.
You have stated your point today that you have issues with some of the reasons that Martin Amidu cited
Definitely.
in the petition.
Definitely.
To have Mr. Kisi Jabeng removed.
Definitely. Because as Martin was saying, when you initiate an action, you must prepare your evidence to support it. And it would have been easier for the petitioner to have laid hands on the facts and evidence that is admissible in the process, so that you are able to not only shout, but shout with the evidence to support the shouting. But I'm not saying he may not have the evidence, but for me, if he had taken other routes to establish platforms to launch the assault, that would have been better. But that's my opinion. He thinks that he can start it all over again, but it will be so laborious because the termination of the first matter will take you so long. The termination of that will take you so long, and the public may also lose interest if the process is too long. So it depends. Everybody has his strategy.
But this also has political implications. I mean, if what Mr. Daniel Domelovo said to us, the indication he gave to us, and what he has heard,
you see,
comes to pass, that it is indeed the case that, and well, he cited the law. The president may not be wrong if he asks him to step aside while investigations take place.
As happened in EC's case.
Indeed. But what signal will this send? It's not, this is especially the timing and also the person involved and what he is doing at this time.
You see, Matt Abbott.
It's Alfred.
Alfred, no, sorry. Suspicions, 1 million of suspicions will not constitute evidence. And again, a hearsay is not admissible in the legal process. You see, so when you have evidence, quality evidence that can support your case, nobody will prevent you. But we are being too politicized. Always everything that comes has political color. This one is talking politics. No, the law doesn't know politics. And evidence cannot be adduced with a political interest. So let's think Ghanaians before even our political parties. Let's become citizens of Ghana before we consider our association with political parties. So for nothing at all, this is a call on the legal process, the constitutional process, to make a determination. And if we allow the process to roll, at the end of the day, the decision will be qualitative. If we have any contributions at all to the process, let's avail ourselves that opportunity and participate and get us a solution that can be sustainable.
I see.
So I think that Martin, I cannot fault him, but we could have maybe we could have done it differently.
I must be your last word on this, but let me just
state is that Ghanaians talk politics too much. We leave the things that give us life and always focus on politics. The country is suffering from over-politicization of national issues. The country is suffering. Everything has to come either from NDC or NPP. Sometimes, and again, I say this with pain, our constitution was sick from the day it was promulgated. You see, Africans by nature, we are autocratic. So if you give so much power into one hand, it will be abused.
That's where the challenge is. You have admitted that the country is suffering. But if the people who are the helm of affairs speak otherwise, when the citizens point out the realities they are faced with, that's not politics, though.
No,
that's people coming to terms with their reality. And you see, I'm coming. Let me just make a point. You see, anybody who speaks a language contrary to what government speaks, it seems to be doing politics. That's not the case.
So am I doing politics?
No, you are not. I'm not talking about you. You only said that Ghanaians should stop doing politics. I'm only saying to you that it sounds that way. Over-politicization
of national issues.
The moment you have a contrary opinion, you are seen to be anti-government. However the case, if whether you see it that way or otherwise, it doesn't take away the reality that people are faced with. So when people are talking about their realities on a daily basis, that's different from being overly political.
To be honest
you understand what people
I don't
are
see
now.
politics in this discussion
Indeed,
this morning.
indeed.
Because these are state institutions performing their constitutional rules. I don't see politics in this. And if, say, Yoko says something, I will not credit the government with that statement.
True.
Neither will I point to a failure of government because of that statement. It is, let's respect the institutions of state, let them work. So if the institutions come under some criticism, let's respond to that and not say that. So if Apiakubi says something, he's MPP. If Ricketts says something, he's NDC. But this discussion this morning, we are addressing issues concerning state institutions. Our worry is not directed at President Mahama or President Akufo-Addo. As far as I'm concerned, they don't matter in these discussions at all. We are saying that the expectations we have for our state institutions, we have found it worrisome to discuss. And that is why we are bringing our issues differently. But at least these are not political statements advertising our political interests.
Well, let me take you through. And
but it will be good for even members of a political party to, advocate differently if it will serve the national interest.
Which you are doing now, because you are advocating for some things that typically you would not have a member of your party do. And which you're doing, which is commendable. I'm only saying that you are not. So, and that I would just want to take our viewers and our listeners through what the Office of Special Prosecutor Act 2017, Act 959, says about how an OSP can be removed or can be taken out of office. So, removal of the Special Prosecutor, Section 15, and we'll put that path on the screen and how this petition is going to travel. The Special Prosecutor shall not be removed from office except for A, stated misbehavior or incompetence, incapacity to perform the function of the office by reason of infirmity or body or of mind, willful violation of the office oath or secrecy, conduct which brings or is likely to bring the office of the Special Prosecutor into disrepute, ridicule, or contempt, or is prejudicial or inimical to the economy or security of the state. A person who seeks to remove the Special Prosecutor from office shall submit a petition to the President. That's what Martin Amidu has done. Where the President receives the petition for the removal of the Special Prosecutor, the President shall, within 7 days, so that's what you see there, 7 days, refer the petition to the Chief Justice, who shall, within 30 days, determine whether there is a prima facie evidence. So this is the path that this petition will take, and the days. And then within 14 days, by June 19, if our timelines are anything to go by, because this petition was submitted on 30th April. So by 19th of June, a committee should have been set up, a committee of 3 is expected to be set up for a 14-day period for the committee to work. By July 9, within that 90-day period, by all things being equal, the President should take a decision after that, based on the recommendations of the committee.
You have not memories of what happened in the formulation of the Special Prosecutor Act in Parliament.
Yes.
You see, it is the referral is directed at the Chief Justice.
Yes.
But at the end of the committee's work, the committee presents to the President.
Sure.
I was so much against that because the Chief Justice appointed the committee. So why would the committee, after finishing its work, rather report to the President?
Yeah.
I thought that they should have reported back to the Chief Justice, for the Chief Justice to have also communicated to the President. But I did this argument. Nobody, understood what I was saying, and I was overruled. You see, Rickett, I'm sure you were there. You see, I raised this objection that these people are unknown to the president. So why would they directly report to the president? Let them report to the Chief Justice so that the Chief Justice will rather transmit the conclusions to the president. But I was overruled, unfortunately. So this is the situation we have.
And this is what is going to happen.
This is what is going to happen. Sometimes it's not always the case that a good argument will find favor.
That's
so
true.
if I was not able to convince my colleagues, fine.
Well, unfortunately, it's not going to happen. Finally, on this, because you've Lawyer Matibebo worked closely with the Special Prosecutor's Office, and that's why you speak of some things that we don't know about. But if it so happens that the president exercises his discretion in law to ask Kesi Jabing to step aside in the coming weeks, because Mr. Daniel Demelovo indicated that based on what he has heard, by next week, that decision may be taken. If it is not taken next week, but in the coming weeks, what signal would that send to you? Ben, very quickly. Before.
A very bad signal.
Why?
And bad is not even the right word. That would undermine our fight against corruption. That would be a serious, fatal blow to our fight against corruption, right? Then I'll proceed to show why. But let me also clarify. My relation with the OSP is limited to the case I presented to them. That's the petition I sent. They're not in development
in the
authority.
NDA case.
So sometimes you go there because you have to testify, you have to ask for updates on the case. That's it. That's the relationship.
I think you've been very consistent on this.
That's it. And it's moving well. Said now they asked to open their case.
Yes.
So we'll see. The first major corruption case, I mean, since the OSP started, at least the one that's gone past the prosecution's case.
Okay.
So that's a feat that's how come I say, you see, is moving steadily. Hey, because we have passed that hurdle. It's no joke. I remember when we went to Tamale to testify, lawyers for accused persons, they were taunting me that this case will be thrown out in no time, that it will not go past this stage. That's the submission of no case, they would win, and that will be thrown out. But thankfully, at least, the case is gone into the second half, right? And Dr. Isidore Tufo, the prosecutor, good work done. Good. So looking at this, if Kisi is suspended, it's going to be a major blow, extremely. So that's why I earlier on said that Ghanaians shouldn't sit quiet. We are allowed to advocate, right, to show our support to Kisi, so that it will signal to the president that he shouldn't even contemplate that. He shouldn't contemplate that because we're seeing his hands all throughout these petitions. His hands are all over the petition. So he shouldn't go that step further. He has just 6 months to go. He himself, very soon, he will be facing the law courts. It's too late. It's too late. 6 months, don't do it. Yes, Ekufado himself will be a candidate for prosecution. That one is well established. This 6 months, you can't do anything. So just let it run its course. You've been very corrupt as a president, and the law is...
You say you are going to take him up in court. You are going to prove that corruption in court.
Yes.
And I'll hold you on to it.
Oh, yes. You've forgotten the 800 million he padded
I just want it to be established here.
Yes.
For our viewers to also take notice of that. You see, sometimes because some politicians, you are not a politician, but politicians will always be accusing each other of corruption. Both of you are. When you accuse each other of corruption, and then it comes, and you come to power, nothing happens. I mean, the MPP, Mr. Piakubi, you run a very competent corruption campaign against the NDC. And I'm yet to see one case filed against their presidential candidate, John Mahama, for corruption. And then also, all those other cases that you cited. Why is it that when you accuse your opponents of corruption and you come to power, you lose the appetite, that is, or you didn't have evidence in accusing people of corruption?
We need to bring sanity to the political arena. Because when you just accuse people of doing wrongs and you don't follow up with civil claims, the other person has a right to come to court for defamation. I want to see that happening. In fact, in my own case, there was an allegation of corruption against me in my constituency, saying that we have chopped some money. I have chopped some money and went ranting. I see the person in court. Say, come and prove your case. And in any case, the person is an assembly member. You know that no MP can lay hands on common fund. No MP. Tell me if there is one. No MP. In fact, when you approve of a project to be done in your constituency, that is the end of your participation, except that you come back to monitor. The person who would do the procurement is there as a procurement officer in the constituency, and the person who will be paying money is there as the disbursement officer in the constituency. You will not see one penny, but somebody comes. So I sue the person, right. And I had obtained a judgment in default of defense, and then my party chairman calls me. People have come to him to plead that because we are going for election, you see. And this is very Ghanaian. So reluctantly, you don't want to disrespect your party chairman. Okay. I felt strongly that I needed to prove my case. So I had to, listen to reason. And so let's ensure that you know what you are talking about. Okay. You cannot destroy people's image just because you want a political advantage. It's not fair. Yeah. And again, we have a system. It is only in Africa that we have somebody we call Jatuahi. We deliberately create an institution so that people will offend and go to him, and he will come and then abate the pain. Jatuahi in parlance is an indication that we want people to offend and take solace in the offense and get away with it. It's not fair. So I think that people who commit all kinds of offenses must be brought to book. So, and again, we politicians, right? You accuse me, I accuse you. You accuse me, I accuse you, without proof. So we are selling ourselves collectively to the citizenry. Okay. There comes a time when they will not believe either me or you anymore. So without evidence, there's no need for us to bastardize each other like that.
Well, that time is here. Yes. Anyway. Thank you.
That time is here.
Indeed.
Unfortunately.
This is Key Point on TV3. We are live on 3FM 92.7. Also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. And in fact, if you go on 3news.com, we're churning out stories every step of the way, by the minute. And kudos to the online team for doing this. Thank you so much. Headed by Mr. Eric Aite, thank you. So you can make some time, visit 3news.com for up-to-the-minute news from the show as it goes on. Thank you to the team. Really appreciate this. Now, a number of your messages as well, I'm receiving, as always, about 600 so far. Yes, I'll read a few. After this quick break, we're getting into the city because that's also another issue of concern. And we'll have a few others joining us for the conversation about the cedi and the economy, the cedi-dollar relationship. Cedi is dancing seriously offbeat, almost 15 cedis, as we're seeing, to the dollar. And businesses are crying, individuals are complaining because the trickle-down effect, we are all affected in many, many, many ways. We'll be back shortly after this quick break. We'll have a conversation. The former Deputy Finance Minister is here, and then the Honorable Andy Apekubi is part of committees that also talk about the state of the economy. We'll be back shortly. Yes, you're not. We'll be back shortly after this quick break. Stay with us.
Katia Ghana, your ultimate furniture hotspot where dreams meet quality, yet affordable. Your #1 household brand has rolled out the red carpet with jaw-dropping bundles this month, from sofas to decor, storage, adult bed, mattress, and many more. And you just can't beat it. So get ready to enhance your space with the Katia bundles. Katia Ghana, where quality lives.
Oman Ghana, mechiamo na mehu se abatwa ye ba betui. Time na ide bekwa akoye voters registration no. From the 7th of May to 27th of May. Ushema 20 days. Enunti enane metu anamon ho se. Mia me dia se bi ba betu dwa na mabisa isi. Se komo betimi a omunya Ghana for adom. Na omo twe emrenim. Na embabunu na omo so wo school a omuntimi ntu abada 2024 yi omunya chance a omo ba be ye bi no omo so atimi aye bi. Ena me frɛ mpanyimfo nso a omo wo krom ha, independent candidates, political parties, civil society organizations, EIA, religious bodies, Peace Council, and all other parties. Brought together. Advocate, join hands with me, and please, I hope that the EC will consider this plea from the nation. Thank you.
Here's lights, camera, music. The stage is set, the stars are ready, and Ghana's biggest night is here! The 25th Telisol Ghana Music Awards Night happening live on Saturday, 1st June at the Grand Arena from 7 p.m. Be part of the extravaganza of rhythm, sheer talent, and high fashion, plus all the drama of who wins what. 170 nominees, 30 awards, plus 18 superstars, all performing live. You can't miss this. Book your tickets now, starting from 500 Ghana cedis on star 713 star 33 star 25 hash, or call our hotline on 0501 288520. The 25th Telisol Ghana Music Awards, powered by Chatterhouse, supported by Guinness, Captain Morgan, Close Up, British Council, TV3, and sponsored by Telecel, connecting energies.
It's a song of celebration.
Telecel, connecting energies.
Yama adofo akwaba. O house of pisani on net here, na ge hu akono efa. By mistake now the petiti kusini di no fa yefuna.
See that.
O Valentine gift na ere.
Na pork ni cook. Nti every pork na ebo TV game.
Wa sorry for no. Omuso fuma mu ye bi no.
Me gire no ye abo fo mbebo me akọ anim.
Okay, nti mo kwa sorry a typically maybe a wote puppet and as wote ha. O mi enu ti metena wachi.
O metam jan ye. O mo ya sofo. O mo ya me gire no mo metam congregation.
Nti se na nkwala 13 na do betime watimi asifie.
E wo dwene fie ho. You take that bubu if you go here.
Service big to Sameka say obi a me matena kura ketwa be 10 house.
Na wo kwabroche the first time.
Na wo kwabroche na wo kwaje SS water way, a jacket way.
2 p.m. say na net e wo ma.
Obi a hwe me.
Enti wo gam o be ti bi.
Na kakra no nsuo.
Anu odene odofo.
The Delay Show is brought to you by NASCO, Pepsodent, Betway, Gino, Delay Foods, Yas Sanitary Pad, Tabia Takun.
The Delay Show, Sunday at 6 p.m. on TV2.
Welcome back to Key Point on TV3. We're live on 3FM 92.7. The Tour du Ghana, 3FM Tour du Ghana is ongoing. The cyclists have set off already from the starting point here at TV3 and also 3FM 92.7. They are cycling all the way to Kwewu in the eastern region. And so just for the benefit of our viewers as well. Welcome back. A number of your messages coming through on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and also on X. This one here from Dr. Ishmael Norman says, good morning, Alfred and your panelists. He says that this is the kind of conversation that we need to shape the psyche and thinking of our people. We must all be concerned about where this country is and where we should and could have been. It says, kudos to your panelists, a bipartisan conversation indeed, and good morning to Andy Apiakubi. You know, Dr. Ishmael Naman says,
nice.
This is your distant relative.
He's been coming
yesterday. Yes, indeed. So, he says he should come home. This one here from Shams is talking about we should protect Martin Pebu because he is a national asset. Not, and he says he's always been, yes. Indeed. He says that as he always has been the stock in trade of the MPP. I think you're talking about the fact that Martin Kpebu says he's going to institute a case against the president when he is out of office. That's why he said we should protect him. I get that sense.
It is the Constitution, it is the law.
Yeah. Thomas says, good morning, Alfred. And all the other issues that you have mentioned today are critical, including the issue of the dialysis that we, the persons living with kidney diseases, are going through. We must also ensure that some level of justice is given to us. Thomas, thank you. This one from Prince Henry Koforidia says, good morning. I'm urging the Speaker of Parliament to make sure they don't fail this test again and at least save the sinking image of Parliament. I think this is a comment that we are making reference to what Martin Kpebu said. That the best case must be dealt with well by Parliament for the good of the people of Ghana to regain trust in our Parliament, you say. Thank you, Prince Henry from Koforidia. And then also this one from Musa Abatwa in Aswansi in the Ashanti region. Alfred, I totally agree with my boss. Sorry, you don't need a magician to tell you that everything surrounding Madam Cecilia Dape's case has been a cover-up from day one. Hence, blaming OSP is unfair because from all indication, he has tried everything possible to get to the bottom of the matter. But unseen hands are pulling him down. Inshallah, proper accountability will commence in 2025. Musa Abatwa in Sawase, thank you. This one here says that it is indeed the case. Good morning, Daniel Yao Demelovo, for this. It says this disclosure. We are all waiting for how next week will end. You say if decision is taken to have Kessie Jabeng step aside, it will not be a good signal for even government itself. You say so will be a politically unwise one. Khalil Man from WA says, good morning. The bipartisan investigation will not yield any results. They will end up with 2 reports as usual. What happened to the IGP type investigation? Yes, they should wait for the new administration to come and investigate this because crime has no expiry date, you say. Thank you very much. And also, good morning to Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo. He has some commendation for all of you on the panel for also saying these issues in the interest of the country. Good morning to you, Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo. This one says, hello, Alfred. On a more serious note, is the Ghanaian law enforcement agents, consisting police, customs, military, IOCO, OSP, Ministry of Justice, and the Attorney General of the Judiciary, where the Chief Justice, you talk about the statements that were made, talk about the latest new twist of the SNITS issues as well. We must all sit up and get interested in how this nation is being run. Papa Bisu from Accra. Thank you very much, Papa Bisu, for your message. We do acknowledge a number of them coming through. Yes, thank you so much for all the messages. 723, we thank you very much for the messages coming through. That leads us to our conversation on the cedi and the depreciation, the continuous depreciation of the cedi against the major trading currency, the dollar. In fact, there's been suggestions that we should dollarize the economy so that we can all just be saved of this situation, but others think that is not the way to go. But this is a cyclical situation, is it not? Look at what the president, then candidate Kufuor, said in the run-up to the 2016 elections.
kɔhyɛ adwuma bi mu nso a wonya ho fa soɔ because sika no ɛmu nyɛ bi na ɛno ne adwuma kɛse a yɛba bɛyɛ yɛba bɛkyerɛkyerɛ no ne yɛde yɛnya sidia ɛmu odu na wo a ne di dwa no na woanya ho fa soɔ wode bɛsɛ adwuma mu so a na woanya ho fa soɔ ɛka ho bi tina me kofa abawomia so mbeka me ho ye hihye ye sikasem no eyie na sika no emunye dubio let me be adwuma ne ahoto.
So this was in 2016. So, well, if the fundamentals were weak then, that statement is actually true now. And it was on the basis of that when the statement was made that we're going to build on an economy away from the Gadgetsburg economy, which was identified as the fundamental reason for this cyclical problem that the city goes through. Because you know what, you don't even need to be an economist or, you know, Mr. Rekedegan, you and I who understand some finance and economic language to know that the city has a cyclical problem. So if the city was a big conversation in 2016 ahead of that election, and 8 years on, it is a big issue, then the fundamentals are still weak. But what was promised to be done, or what was the expectation or the promise to deal with the fundamentals? Have those promises been fulfilled? And why are we being dealt with this problem again? What should have been done? Why is it not being done? Now, we have invested the taxpayers' money into one district, one factory, and others that were supposed to address the fundamentals. But how much of an impact has that had on our industrial growth? Because I'm going to show you the trend of the industry sector's contribution to the GDP. And then you would understand why, if you have economists asking the fundamental question as to why, if we have so many industries in place, as government has indicated, the industrial sector's contribution to the GDP is that minimal. Where is the disconnect? Who is telling us the untruth? Is the Ghana Statistical Service or the presidency? Reverend John Awuni is going to be joining us in a bit. He is a executive director of the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana. Also, would have the president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, Dr. Joseph Obeng, also joining us, because they have both issued a statement this week about how the city is impacting on us and on their businesses. So, Mr. Richard Hagan, you have been a deputy finance minister before. You have seen how things are played out, even in Parliament. What is happening? Because the finance minister says that we are on a path of rebound. The city depreciation is better than what we experienced last year. And so, really, there isn't much to be concerned about. But we woke up, in fact, we're ending this week to 15 cedis to the dollar. What is happening?
Thank you, Alfred. First of all, the clip that we just watched, the video clip we just watched, is a clear indication that the Nana Akufo-Addo, Bawumia presidency is basically failed. As far as economic management is concerned. Because the things he said there, as you said, are the same things that are happening today or we're still in. So basically it's like they moved from zero, went through something and back to zero. Now, the story of the city is quite a complex one. And I have come to believe, and I don't make this statement lightly, I have come to believe that the current managers of the economy actually have not fully comprehended the problems of the exchange rate, and therefore the solutions that they are prescribing is actually not working. Because if you don't understand what the problem is, it will be very difficult for you to come up with a solution, that will address the problem. Whatever little solution or misdirected solution that they even provided, it's actually not working. Now, as you rightly said, in the 2016, we're talking about under 4 cedis, being the dollar. Today, we are talking about 15 cedis to 1 USD. Again, that clearly tells you that whatever has happened in between, we've had some kind of a leadership failure as far as the managing of the economy is concerned. And this, I drive it towards the EMT, which is the Economic Management Team, which I would say was then headed by Dr. Baumia, because I'm not quite sure whether he is still the head of the Economic Management Team.
Well, as far as I know, he is still the head of the Economic Management Team. Because
he seems to be doing, well, quite recently he was doing digitalization. Now it looks like he's campaigning and obviously dancing off beats, on the field. Now, there is a historic problem, or historic challenge with the dollar, which on the cedi, basically, I should say the cedi, because dollar is not our currency. So you talk about our local currency against other major foreign currencies, but we pick the dollar because the dollar, they call it the green basket, is basically the currency that most transactions are done in or with. There is a structural weakness, and I hope some of the government people and Honorable Appiah is here watch your program, because some of these things, when you tell them in their face or you sit down to talk to them, they will not listen to you. So maybe they will listen to what I'm saying and try, because we've been talking about this many, many times over. So I want them to understand the problem, because we keep going in circles and coming to the same point. It's as if we don't know exactly what we need to do. There is a structural weakness of the cedi itself, which is historic. And that comes from the background of the structural weakness of Ghana's economy itself. So the cedi is aligned with the economy. If the economy is doing good, the cedi will do good. If the economy is doing bad, the cedi will do bad. It comes from the famous, or you can deduce from that, the famous phrase of His Excellency Dr. Baumia, that if your fundamentals are weak, your exchange rate will expose you. If the structure of your economy is weak, your currency, there's a structural weakness of your currency as well. The structural weakness, as you said, the Guggisberg thing you were talking about, comes from the fact that we are a country that imports too much and exports very little.
So the solution was to industrialize?
Yes.
What has become of that?
The solution was to industrialize. The form of industrialization that this government chose and did not continue what was started in the government, before this government, is part of the problem itself. Now, in addressing a currency problem, there is a short, medium, and long-term approach. The long-term approach is the industrialization that you are talking about. Because if we import too much, what we want to do is to be able to reduce our importation so that our dependence on the hard currency, the dollar, will then go down. That economists will talk about import substitution. You want to substitute, you know, what you can actually do here, and so that you have very little to spend money on from outside. So part of the industrialization is to replace some of the things you are importing by producing them here. The second part of the industrialization is being able to produce over and beyond what you need, so you will be able to export and earn revenue. So the industrialization is supposed to reduce your expenditure of foreign exchange and increase your revenue in export, you know, revenue. Now, the industrialization we have at the moment, which is the 1D, 1F, has basically become a playground for cronies, for friends, and for family, coming up with all sorts of cottage businesses and calling it industrialization. When you use the word industrialization, you are talking about real factories, huge factories. You are not talking about small cottage industries and all that. And then what happens? And if you're going to do cottage industry, then there should be more of them. Now, the problem here is that the industrialization itself, the methodology being used itself, is hurting industrialization, because it has become an avenue for depriving government of revenue. Because yesterday in Parliament, the tax exemptions that were brought for us to work on, which has been in the books for a while and we've been resistant, comes to around about 300 billion tax exemption.
300 billion
cedis, which is around 4 to 5 billion US dollars.
And we are the IMF seeking 3 billion.
It's gone
Absolutely.
beyond the 355 million.
Yes. So you think of it and you said, you are at the IMF, as you rightly said, seeking extended credit facility of 3 billion. But yet, you are actually losing about 4 billion US dollars.
To tax exemptions.
To tax exemption.
To who?
Well, to the cronies, I said, those who are playing the 1D, 1F field. The 1D, 1F field has become an avenue to really siphon money, to create loot and share, to build money, possibly the one we are looking at, for elections. Because if somebody gets a tax exemption, obviously they're not going to go free. They will have to maybe pay some money to the party or pay some money to certain individuals to fund their political, and whatever their political ambition. So this 1D, 1F is basically not working. The 1D, 1F has been going on for about 7 years now. It's supposed to create jobs, but unemployment is going through the roof. It's supposed to increase production, but as you said, when you look at the graph, it's basically been flat or going down. So industrialization's contribution to growth itself has been declining when you look at the GDP curve. Now, the other thing, as I said, the revenue that you need to be able to basically solve your fundamental issues is not happening. The other problem is that, and we were lucky it didn't happen, was that the trade minister, if you quite remember, recently wanted to ban certain things.
Yes.
Okay, this is the import substitution thing we were talking about. You can only ban these things when you are actually producing them. But if you are not being able to meet what you need to be able to cut off what is coming from outside to save your currency, which is the right thing to do. Industrialization is supposed to scale up these things, and then in the process, you will then be scaling down on your importation. as you scale up production in your own economy. So it's a total failure, not as a policy, but the way the policy is being implemented. So that is one. The second issue, which we have not paid attention to, which is eating the cedi away gradually, is something that happened in 2005. And I will want academics, civil society, politicians to look at this. If you remember in 2005, Ghana did some redenomination of its currency, which is basically a devaluation, where 10,000 cedis became 1 cedi, 1 million became 100 cedis by knocking zeros off the back. Now, something similar was done in Europe in a way of bringing currencies under one umbrella or create one currency, where in the early 2000s, the Spanish peseta, the Italian lira, the German Deutschmark and everything were made one currency, which is the euro. Some of the currencies were not actually up to the pegging that was created. Remember, there was some pegging, that went on that caused British government a serious problem. The Black Wednesday, where they lost so much money because the British pound was overvalued at the time. There were currencies within that exchange rate mechanism that were actually overvalued. But when they created a single currency and they had a pound, because they created a criteria for all the currencies to be aligned, they were able to stabilize the economy over time and got the currencies at par. Now, when you do a similar thing against the dollar, you don't control the dollar. You don't have any criteria between Ghana's economy and whatever happens to our inflation interest rate and whatever happens in America. So we artificially pegged the new 1 cedi against the new $1. So it was basically at par. I think even in the beginning, the cedi was slightly stronger
than the dollar.
And it became, at par. Now, over the years, this is also one of the structural issues, historic issues. Over the years, the cedi is trying to find its own level. So it looks as if the cedi was overvalued from the very beginning. So it is devaluing itself as it goes along in the last almost 20 years now, because that happened around the early 2005 or something like that. So for nearly 20 years now, that has gradually been going on. Occasionally, and as you mentioned something cyclical, occasionally, because of certain things that happen in the economy, it tends to halt that chipping away or slows it down. That is, if we're able to bring in some, if world prices of commodities, for instance, goes up, you get cocoa, now we are oil producing, all those things going up. It brings in more export revenue, because these are exported items, revenue. And that helps to stabilize the cedi only for a short time. Then as we came around 2007, when we started that Eurobond business in Kufuor's time, we started getting additional revenue that comes in hard currency. When I say hard currency, I mean the dollar. That comes in to help stabilize the artificially held cedi. That happened, and then we came into office. The Eurobond continued, but they were small. Then this government came in and started the Eurobond in volumes of about 2 billion at a time.
Borrowing,
2 billion at a time.
2 billion.
3 billion at a time. And move the Eurobond debt to 13 billion US dollars as we speak. Now, the problem is that when these monies come in, and don't forget about, we had things like cocoa syndicated loans These are all hard currencies that were coming in. So when the cocoa syndicated loan comes, Eurobond comes and ever, those things are able to cushion the cedi and give the impression as if the cedi is actually doing well. So the moment those things disappear, and by disappear I mean, the other funny thing is that when the Eurobond and things started in these volumes and giving us those money and propping up our reserves, your reserves naturally should be your own export revenue, most of it. That comes into your, so it's your money. Our reserves are not our asset, they are our liability, because most of it is actually a borrowed money. So, yes, if it's Eurobond, IMF money that we are expecting now, the 150 that we approved yesterday, these are all borrowed money. But they will tell you that these monies are coming to help stabilize the dollar. But you are using liability to actually stabilize your dollar.
You mean the cedi?
Yeah, it's to stabilize the cedi. It's not your currency, it's not your money. So if it's cocoa money, oil money, the inflows, most of it is liability. Because don't forget, cocoa monies have reduced because you are selling less cocoa. So when these monies come in and supposed to support the currency, I mean basic economics, and this is textbook stuff, will tell you that if you take a currency world, a world of cedi and the dollar, when they say that the currency is appreciating or depreciating, it simply means that there's one currency more in the market than the other. So if the cedi is depreciating, it means you have more cedi in the economy than you have dollars, or you have less dollars in the economy than you have cedis. Therefore, one currency is chasing the other, which is scarce. And the currency that is scarce will appreciate, and the one that is not will depreciate.
But is it the case that people are actually now using the dollar as a store of value because of what is happening in the economy? A lot more people.
I will quickly come. I will quickly come to that point.
So that
I need to make this. This is a very important point. This is where the picture is, and this is where this government is not seeing. Therefore, it's like they are putting water in a bucket that is leaking, thinking they are solving the problem. Because what central bank does, and you know, on the monetary policy side, is that if the cedi is depreciating, all the reserves they get, they put them in the market to buy the cedi, to reduce the cedi content in the market so that the cedi will appreciate. In buying, they use dollars. So they, in buying cedis out of the market, they are also putting dollars in the market. Therefore, the dollar then becomes available for people to buy. Now, when you are using borrowed money to do that, the impact is different than when you are using your own asset. Now, so you go to what you are talking about. We are a lucky country. Wow. And lucky in the sense that we don't actually operate a full speculative foreign exchange market here in Ghana. Like it happens elsewhere. Like the Black Wednesday issue where George Soros wiped $2 billion of the British market through speculation. The speculation that happens here happens in pockets, and that is individuals believing or anticipating that the cedi is going to get weaker. Therefore, they sell their cedis to buy dollars and store. But these are done in small volumes. And look at the impact that that is having. So if we get a speculator in this market, all our reserves could be wiped out in one day. If there's any serious speculator in this market, they wipe all our reserves in one day. Now, this is the interesting bit. Up until 2019, and I choose 2019 because COVID issue comes after 20 and they are blaming things on COVID. In 2019 up to November, the Ghana cedi was the worst performing currency in the world. 2019. The cedi depreciated by 13% from January to November. Okay? And it was the worst currency. Today, 4 months into the year, the cedi has depreciated by 10%, only 4 months. So by the time we get to November, for you to compare, the depreciation of the cedi would have been almost around 20%.
In fact, the last time I checked, it was about 14.3%
well,
year to date.
Yeah, depending on how,
So,
because
the
as it increases, as the months go, it could be reducing a bit or...
I want you to listen to the Vice President in 2019, because you mentioned 2019, when the city was depreciating. This was the explanation the Vice President gave in 2019.
Right.
Take a look.
You will recall that I stated in 2014 that if the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. That was true then, and it is true now. It is 100% correct. So if the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. But it is warped logic to jump from that to a conclusion that if there is depreciation in your currency, then the fundamentals must be weak. Do you understand the logic? It is very warped logic. If the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. But if the exchange rate moves, you cannot jump to that conclusion that the fundamentals are weak. That defies logic.
I have studied this very well. This is what happened. And I said, I know this very well because I said February to you.
Indeed.
It happened in the currency depreciated.
But do you understand the logic?
Yes, I understand the logic. But, in economics, when you say things like that, you have to actually state the condition. If you don't give any condition, the reverse is also true.
I see.
Yeah, all conditions remaining. If you don't, then the reverse is also true.
Indeed.
Okay, so basically what happened here is this. As they got into the end of the year, the city started appreciating as a result of the year of return. When people were coming in and dropping, and that is when you chose the opportunity to make this in February. Now, March, 6th of March.
Same year.
Of 2020. And COVID actually kicked in around March here in Ghana. On the 6th of March, I wrote to the Vice President, Dr. Baumia. This is where my 230 questions to Dr. Baumia came. It was sent to him on the 6th of March, 2020.
You sent him 230
questions. Out of the 230 questions, I have 4 pages just on the exchange rate. 4 pages. All my questions, I put them in sections.
Has he answered the questions?
Well, he hasn't. So all these questions here are all on the exchange rate issue. And I pointed out to him why he's been wrong all the time. And I thought that maybe he just understands things theoretically but doesn't know how they work in practice. Okay, so what then happened was that obviously he didn't answer, and he will answer one day, just like he gave him his other questions to answer. Now, so
which you also not answered.
Yes, we'll send it back to you. We'll send him his other questions back to him together with my 230 if he wants to be president. Now, if I can,
and in fact, hold on to that thought. And let me recognize Reverend John Awuni. He is the president of the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana. They have been heavily hit by this city depreciation. Dr. Joseph Obeng is also joining us right now. He is the president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA. Reverend John Awuni, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us on Key Point.
Good morning, Alfred. Thank you very much. And good morning to your listeners.
Perfect. Your members and together with yourself, you've been heavily hit by this city depreciation. But tell us, what's the reality that you are faced with?
Thank you very much, Alfred. Let me make it clear, like the previous speaker has made, indicated that the depreciation of the city is not a certain phenomena. It's not peculiar to one particular government. It's not peculiar one particular regime. Businesses have taught to be able to citizens, the failure of government to be able to build strong foundations for manufacturing, the failure of government to be able to create capital among the indigenous, because we keep talking about inviting foreign investors, yet when the foreign investors come in, whatever business that they create, they take their money out. And they don't take the money out in cities, but they still take it out in the global currency, which I would say the dollar. The failure of government to be able to correct a structural weakness in manufacturing. Because we say that manufacturing generally is the way to, or industrialization generally is the way to create exports and therefore buffer your stock, your foreign exchange reserves and all that. But the nature of manufacturing in this country, I would say, needs complete review, because the manufacturers, the level of manufacturing that we do in this country is more or less same as those who also even import the finished products. So the reality is that businesses are hit very much, both manufacturers and those who import finished products. The manufacturing sector, I think that Alfred has to be corrected in this country. We have a wrong concept of manufacturing, and until we do that, we will forever be fighting a battle that we will lose in terms of for the foreign currency. Because just as somebody imports rice or sugar or any finished product into the country, those who all say we are manufacturing, like clearly the VW company they have brought, we say it's manufacturing. They assemble, it's a car assembly plant. And they quote their vehicles in dollars, even though our local currency is in cedis. If you go to the cement factory, the cement companies, they import the clinker and then do the whatever, the final and the bargain here. If you go to the pharmaceuticals, concentrates are imported. If you go to the breweries, concentrates are imported. If you go to the beverage industry, general beverage industries, concentrates are imported. There is no single proper manufacturing company that's real manufacturing. More or less, we do packaging. And that is a fundamental issue that government, that is a real hard truth that we need to look at. If them all are important, toilet rolls, you say, I'm a toilet roll manufacturer, I want tax exemptions, I want this and all that. Yet you bring bundles of the paper down, just put them through a machine that cuts them into tissue and sizes and package them and send out and say manufacture. How many people do you employ at the end?
Right.
Also, you will need foreign exchange to be able to still buy those papers down. Though you can't point out where you are buying the thing right down from the farmer locally in cities and go and manufacture. Go to the oil, those who produce cooking oil, concentrates from Malaysia, from other countries, yet they say they are manufacturing. What level of manufacturing? Because you are providing, you need foreign exchange to import those things. So businesses, both manufacturing, so-called manufacturing, and finished products and all that, are completely hit, severely hit, because they are losing their capital by the day. And more so because Ghana is a credit market. Most of the goods that come into the country, whether they are importing them for the semi-products, the concentrates and all that for the let me say, the manufacturing sector, or you are importing it as a finished product already packaged, you need dollars. And then also the goods come in on credit basis. And normally they will give you like a 1 month credit. And then you also intend to supply the goods to the distributors, the wholesalers and retailers in the market on credit basis, 2 months, 2 weeks to 1 month basis. And when those goods go out into the market, they go out at a certain speculated exchange rate. So in the current situation that we are dealing with, most of the goods in the market were given out almost at a rate of 12.5 cedis to $1. Suddenly, speedingly, the dollar goes to almost 15 cedis.
So within this week, some of your members have had to trade with the dollar at 15 cedis. 15 cedis.
Exactly. In some cases, you cannot even find it. So you have the goods in the market, which you sold out or you get out on credit at 12.5 cedis. Now, when they sell it and then give you your money back, you are supposed to now use that money to buy the dollar at 15 cedis.
That's a loss.
So that is a major loss. And the goods, and already because the economy is seriously bad. Disposable income is very low. Demand is very, very low in the market. And if there's anything that businesses have been struggling with over the last couple of years, it's low demand because your goods are locked up in the market. You can't sell.
So the situation that the businesses are faced with is that for you, with the state of the economy, you can't increase prices. Even though your cost of production is high, you can't increase prices because the public, the disposable income is not there. We can't even buy if you increase prices. So you are caught with these two situations.
You are locked up, Alfred. You are locked up because you cannot increase prices because the price that's already prevailing in the market, people are not buying. And then also you need the money quickly to pay your international suppliers. So it's a complete mixed bag and a confused state. And so businesses are really, really very hit hard, both from those who bring in semi-finished products and then pack and then finish them here, like we call them manufacturing, and those also just bring in the finished products.
And I understand some of your members have had to shut down their businesses. Is that true?
You said?
I understand some of your members have had to shut down their businesses because of this.
Obviously, we have had in the news where you have seen that many businesses that are leaving, and obviously, if your working capital is going, you don't see the future around. You either have to relocate or basically shut down. And the businesses over the years are shrinking, and that is something that I have sung a song over and over and over. The government needs to pay attention to the private sector. The massive level of unemployment on the streets of this country is really, really very alarming. And that points to the fact that the private sector is not doing well at all. The reported figure that manufacturing is growing negatively or the private sector is growing negatively. Because if the private sector is doing well, you can employ more. I have a company that could employ about 100 people. I'm currently employing about 12 people. Alfred.
You employed 100 people and now just 12?
I could employ more than 100 people, but I'm currently employing only 12 people.
Wow.
So if you have, and several others. And so what businesses are currently looking at now is to cut down overheads. And the cutting down overheads is to lay staff off and then all that. And also you cannot even increase the staff salaries. Now you are hit with a depreciating currency that seems to show no way of abatement. It doesn't. You don't know whichever way you can go to. And even in the last couple of weeks, in fact last week or so, some of the business had to stop selling to the market because they don't know at what price can you sell to the wholesalers or retailers. Because you could make a mistake. Either when you overprice it, the goods will never sell. And when you also underprice it, you will never get the same quantity of goods that you are expecting to get. So it is a very unfortunate situation.
I see.
Having said that, Alfred, I think that, like I said in my opening remarks, that the depreciating currency is a national issue.
Okay.
And as a result of frustration, in a couple of years back, I said, well, the mindset that Ghanaians have had, it appears that we love foreign currency than the local currency. And I would disagree with the previous speaker that those who are buying dollars are in small packets. The quantity of dollars that was found in Sicily at the Bar's house was small dollars and several others. The politicians, whatever kickbacks they get from their contracts and order, they don't obviously keep them in cities. They also buy dollars and keep. To the extent that those who even enforce, who are even supposed, why is it that the central bank themselves are not able to enforce their own regulations? That to the extent that we buy dollars like tomato, we buy tomatoes.
Okay.
Why the central bank themselves are not able to enforce their own policies regarding the exchange? Literally, like the then candidate Bawumia said, we all think in dollars and prices in cities. The government officials build their properties, rent them in dollars. They who are supposed to enforce those laws, they rent their properties out in dollars. They also even rent properties for government business, even in dollars. The Ghana port. Every Tuesday, the duty rate the exchange rate for duty is changed. And look at what the prevailing market in terms of either in the black market or whatever. And I tell that today the exchange rate is this rate, so we are adjusting
and it actually even goes up on a daily basis. And in fact, this is the same situation with the Guta as well. Let me welcome Dr. Joseph Obeng, who is the president of the Ghana Union Trade Association. Guta is also joining us. Dr. Obeng, if you can unmute for me, yes, and then yes, and let me while yes, indeed, while Dr. Obeng joins us, I mean, you don't even need to be an economist to understand what is happening with the depreciation of the city, and now it impacts on our lives in many ways. I mean, when the city depreciates, it's reflected in many ways in our lives. Fuel prices are going to go up. You have transport fares will go up, food items even, in fact, because now farmers are having to power their machines with fuel, importing agricultural inputs in dollars. So it affects our lives in every way. Yeah. What's your reality as against the kind of politics we are doing with the city?
Yeah, so it said that he who feels it knows it. Yeah, when you feel it, you know it. I'm feeling it.
Indeed.
I will say that I owe him pound sterling. So every time it goes, I was like, hey, one dead.
You owe him pounds. The pound is over 18 cedis, actually.
I'm laughing, but Charlie, inside is no laughing matter. Sure, it's crazy. I look at it and I'm like, hey. So, you know, it's now about 7.5 years, right? It's like a dream. The promise we were giving, I'll change the structure of the economy. Oh, rice, oil, you know, all those things, the poultry, etc., that have weakened our currency. It was Bawumia and Akufo-Addo promised what? Change the structure so that these problems will be a thing of the past. You heard Honorable Hagan talk about it, that it's been there from decades. Decades, from Kwame Nkrumah's time. That's why Kwame Nkrumah set up the import substitution industries. We're producing so many things, even doing vehicle assembly plants in Ghana, Akasanuma radio, etc. So many. It's because of this problem. Yes, even Kwame Nkrumah didn't have it easy because, you know, Ghanaians have an insatiable appetite for imported goods. Yes, so you know that it's one of the reasons for the coup d'etat. Yeah, because he said there were a shortage of what? Essential commodities, so milk, sugar, etc. Right? All imported. And hey, by the way, what's happened to the is it Commander Sugar Factory?
It's not in operation.
8 years. So because we are virtually done, 8 years. So we played politics. Oh Jesus Christ!
We actually import sugar in millions of dollars.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad.
I will tell you something when I get a chance to speak, and that will shock you.
Hold on to that shock.
Okay, so I'll round up. So basically, we've been feeling it to the core. And that's why I keep saying, listen, my best remedies, it's not yet late. Anything that brings the election forward, I support legally. Any legal thing that brings the election forward, I support. Even if by 3 months, I support. Because Akufo-Addo told us last year that, listen, he is checked out. So we should wait for the next leader. That anything that has to do with the economy, we should wait for the next leader. Is that not so? And now you find Bawumia on the stage dancing. Atufosi says, instead of him dancing, he should rather concentrate on the dancing CD. Right? Yes, Atufosi and the minority leader says that instead of Bawumia dancing on the campaign stage, he should concentrate on the dancing CD. So anything that brings December election for it, I support. And I always say that the answer is in Article 60, Clause 13, where it says that if the president and the vice resign, the speaker takes over for only 3 months. Within the 3 months, we should have the election. Because
no, that's not going to happen. The president is not resigning.
No, let's keep calling upon him. Because, you know, at first, we didn't even know that constitutional provision exists.
Okay.
Let's read it. It says, where the Speaker of Parliament assumes the office of President as a result of the death, resignation, or removal from office of the President and the Vice President, there shall be a presidential election within 3 months after his assumption of office. So within 3 months, if they just resign today, 3 months, so we'll get what? June, July, August. So today is 18. May, right? Yes. So 18th, between latest by 18th, August, have the election. Let's do that so that we can start new energy, new ideas, vibrancy into the economy.
I don't think I'm about to do but let me bring in Dr. Joseph Obeng. I mean, he's the president of Buta. You issued a statement this week about how this depreciating CD is impacting on your members. But really, tell us, how are you coping?
Yeah. You know, depreciation is simply a loss of capital. That's all that it means. So if you are the currency is depreciating this much, for now we can confidently say that most of us have lost about 20% of our capital. The goods that we buy when we import, even if we go to China, currency is the yuan, but we trade in the dollar. When we are shipping the goods, we also pay dollars. Now the shipping, the freight charges have gone up the roof like the COVID era. Then the goods come, and then the duty is also benchmarked in US dollars. Now I saw GRA bringing press release and all that. Whatever they were saying, just confirm what we are also saying. We are not saying that we pay the duty in dollars. That's not what we have been saying. But we say that they benchmark the calculation with dollar. And so if the exchange rate goes up, it also makes the duties that we are paying go up. Now somebody would say that we just have to transfer the cost to the consuming public. They also have a limit. How are they going to, you know, when prices of goods and services go up, it affects inflation. Inflation eats into the pocket of the consuming public. The purchasing power is gone. Businesses thrive on turnover. And so it means that you are unable to even service your debt when the consumers are not buying from you because they are unable to buy the volumes that they used to buy. If you have a supplier who give you credit, you are unable to service that credit. Your integrity is gone. He might not give you credit again. And so this is the situation that we find ourselves. If somebody is also owing you and the person hasn't paid, the time that he give you the money, the real value of the money is also gone. This is the situation that businesses find ourselves. And so we have to do everything possible to solve this problem so that we can have respite to grow. Yeah.
You have lost over 20% of your capital within this short period of this continuous depreciation.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Because if just few weeks ago, you were able to change $100,000 into. You were able to change 1,250,000 Ghana cedis into $100,000. Now you only be able to change the same amount, 1.5 million Ghana cedis, to $100,000. What does it tell you? It means that you have to get a top up of about 250,000 Ghana cedis. If you are unable to get that top up, it means that you have to content yourself with about $80,000. It means that $20,000 have been spirited away from your capital. That's all that it means. So you are unable to bring the volumes that you were able to import. If previously you were able to import 4 containers, probably this time you'll only be able to import 2 containers. Then you see that the stocks at your warehouse is also depleted. It's being spirited away by the effect of the depreciation of our local currency. So it's very important that we do everything to stabilize this currency. The rate at which it's going is not helping the cost of businesses. We are all suffering. Each morning, a business person wake up and you are panicking. You don't know what is in store for you. So there should be a cutoff point for this problem. Yeah.
And I understand that the same spell is on you, that a number of your members have had to close down their businesses. And what that means is that people have had to be sent home unemployed.
Yeah, it's a natural sequence. If you lose capital to some extent, it means that you are unable to trade again. In this particular case, even those people that are sympathized with, really do sympathize with, are those people who are retailers, those who are unable to travel and bring the goods. Because when the importers bring the goods, they give the goods to these retailers, most times on credit basis. At this particular time, nobody is going to give his goods on credit to these people. And how are they going to survive? If nobody, because the city has lost the value. If you give to him, sometimes they are also take a long time to pay you. So at this time, you are not giving your goods on credit to them. So those segments of traders are going to be affected, even though they do not travel and they don't encounter the dollar at all. But then the effect also trickle down on them. And so these are the effects, and it's worrying us, because even our inability to turn over also means that we are unable to service our debts at the bank. We are unable to pay our suppliers and all that. It's a difficult situation that we find ourselves in. And I believe that the time to solve it, all of us come together, all stakeholders, we bring our ideas to make sure that we solve this problem. I think the problem that we are having is structural, as all of us have said. It's structural. And then we have to identify the problem. If we are not able to identify the problem, then we don't know what we are doing, and then we are dancing in circles. And that's what this program has become consistently, or it has been playing from time a long time. About 2 decades on, we are having this perennial issue because we are not able to identify the problem. Let me tell you, for the past 5 years, we have been enjoying balance of payment surplus in this country. If we are enjoying balance of payment surplus, then it means that we have more forests. Why is it that it doesn't strengthen the local currency? This is the problem. The problem is that the most profitable areas of our economy is being dominated by foreigners. The foreign direct investment, the policy around it is not good, and it's not helping Ghana. We should get it right. What it means is that when we do this export, and then we have the balance of trade surplus, the balance of trade surplus is only in books, but the forex doesn't return to the country because the money doesn't return because the owners just keep their money. So we don't have retention. That's our problem. And then also, when it comes to every end of the year, the first quarter of the year, you see that the foreign direct investors and all that, they repatriate their profits en masse.
Indeed.
And
well,
at that time, the master. Hello.
Yes. Look, why you round up for me in 30 seconds, please?
Yeah. So all that I'm saying is that when they repatriate their money and all that, without us having anything, you look at the communication industry, we look at the banking, we look at all these sectors where it generates the bulk of the resources. All these monies go away from our shores without any retention. And that's a major problem. When you talk about excessive importation, we know where the problem is.
Okay.
Of course, the problem that we are facing, excessive importation is also part of it. But then we know where the problem is. The locals import only about 20% only. So we should have, we should use the investment laws to contain this excessive importation.
Thank you.
And then we'll be able to solve the problem.
This is the problem. This is the reality. I mean, look at what businesses are going through. I mean, you're having to add 250,000 cedis to an amount within a week if you want $100,000 that you're able to get, say, with 1.2 million cedis. Now, within just 1 week, you have to look for additional 250 to 300,000 cedis to get the same amount. How?
I bet. It's a very sad situation we have. And for me, reference to the gadget economy was the fact that we were exporting raw material to feed European industry. If we have a good understanding of that, we need to reverse it so that our raw materials will find value addition in our economy and indeed access to our local market. Unfortunately, in the gadget economy, as we exported the raw, the value addition was made in Europe, and the goods returned to us, and we had to buy it.
Right.
So they took control of the local market, as also they had control over the extractive industry serving the industrial world in Europe. So if we have a good understanding of that, all that we need to do is to reverse the trend and make sure that we are into the production of raw, make sure also that we add value to it, and make sure also that we take advantage of our markets. These are the underlying principles that culminated in the creation of the ECOWAS regional market, so that we take advantage of what we have and we take advantage of the market situation in West Africa. West Africa, working together, present a very huge market that attracts investment. But unfortunately, all these things are in textbooks. We don't practicalize them. And for example, in the rice importation, there is a middle group of people who are referred to as cartels. And in Ghana, for this year, Ghana has experienced huge production in rice. And we are not able to sell the rice there in their people's warehouses. We are not able to sell local rice, which are more healthier than the imported rice. But we are still not able to sell. And we are still importing rice into the economy. And in some jurisdictions, we will come out with some legislation that will restrict the importation of commodities like rice, where we have them in abundance in our warehouses. I think we should be looking at that. But I have sounded a warning. A group of people who control that industry, and they are not Ghanaians. Right. And they will fight and resist any attempt to maybe put some impediments in the way of importing of such commodities. But we must be upright, and we must ensure that we become Ghanaian and do what Ghanaians expect us to do, notwithstanding
Yes.
Notwithstanding the influences that will come in.
Okay.
Tax exemptions. I totally agree with my brother who says that let us not throw these monies and go back begging for proportions of those monies. In fact, we are in a critical season. If we had the environment that could facilitate the tax exemptions, we will do. But now we cannot do that. And indeed, I agree that yesterday this issue of tax exemptions was withdrawn in Parliament. I'm very happy about that. Let Parliament have a meaning. Parliament cannot only be a post office where we place anything there and it goes into the. We must interrogate anything that comes to Parliament and be right in refusing to accept some of them. Just give me a minute. Also, the ECOWAS, we try to consolidate the financial markets into creating the ECO. So many years now, we haven't been able to do it. It is something that is on the table. Artificial stabilization of the currency will not be sustainable. Simple. So let us not just say the inflow of borrowed money will give us the pardon. No, it will only be temporary. Unfortunately, the benchmarking of the duties on the dollar, we must stop that. It's something we can do easily. And above all, and finally, I think that we can have a national forum on the economy. And let's agree to accept other people's opinions. The country is for all of us. So that if we do it well, it becomes a habitable place for all of us. So a national economy probably at this time to, think through our difficulties and come out with a blueprint that will sustain Ghana as a country worthy of living.
Mr. Ogadan, I'm going to give you a few words with the final word. Yeah. What did you say that you're going to talk about that will give us a shock? Because honestly...
first of all,
just to... need a shock. We need a solution.
Just to address the earlier comment made by the first...
yes, that's Reverend John Awuni.
Yeah. That when I said there are small pockets that actually basically speculates in the currency, I was saying that in relation to what could have happened to us if we have those big speculators here, that they could have collapsed the city within a day. I wasn't talking about, the volumes only in Ghana, but comparing it to, of course, we have the telcos who take money from the system. We have the mining companies who do same. We have the wholesalers and all that who are doing that. Now, the bombshell is this. Now, the situation now with the currency, it's likely to get worse.
How? Why?
Because, and I have a feeling that this government is trying to prevent that, and this is what they're doing. This is all happening at a time where we are not paying our external debt.
True.
Now we are negotiating that external debt, and there is a deliberate attempt by this government not to complete that. Because if we do complete that, we will have to start paying.
Yeah.
And once we start paying, the dollar situation will get worse. So if they were able to complete this transaction, it will not be good for Ghana. In a sense that, and they will have to, because their interest, the negotiation on the table is a bad one. They are trying to get a relief of about 10 billion. And that is what they are focusing on. That's about a third of our debt. The problem of our currency now and of our economy is not about how much haircut you get, but it's actually about how much space you get within the next 3 to 5 years. So the proper solution would have been to renegotiate our debt by refinancing the whole international bond market and get a fresh start, a fresh loan that will give us a clean slate, and structure a bond that will give us a 3-year zero coupon bond and start some amortization that will be going up.
Right.
What they have on the table is just, they've taken what is it called, the barber shop there, going to do their usual haircut, which these guys are not buying.
The 30% they want to
because these are seasoned negotiators.
Right.
So if we go ahead, so what they want to do is to try to push this, hoping that NDC government will come to power, and then they'll put this on the lap of the NDC. Because when we come, we will have no choice but to negotiate our external debt. We will have to start paying one day. And if it happens like that, maybe we'll be able to have the trust to start a better negotiation than what is on the table. Because the IMF is pushing us to do this negotiation without IMF itself not understanding what is happening in the international capital market. IMF is good at helping you negotiate a bilateral and a multilateral kind of a transaction. This is new.
I see.
We've never done it before. So if we go with what IMF is telling us, negotiate and try and get some percentage cut off, that's not what we need. We need a physical space
for us
to be able to build our economy.
And
so, unfortunately, my Gupta brothers and all that, the news is not good. And there is no solution. The long-term solution, which is industrialization, has failed. This government is over. The middle one, which is to do with the medium to short term, is to do with inflows coming in. The inflows are not coming. The only inflows you can get now are loans. That's why 150, they have to call us from our houses to come and approve it. Otherwise, there's going to be a problem.
That's a reality check.
So the city is going to probably end up around 18 by the end of the year.
It's certainly not the news I want to end with, but I want to say thank you. I've got to round up.
And if the negotiation happens, and is successful, the Sigri could go to about 2025.
People's wars, the pound is already on. Yeah. So, well, thank you. Thank you very much for this.
Hoi ho. Merci beaucoup. When you are the paid in Titimu, I just on your European, push yan and neck, or Chinani and the chair, chum. As a from there, young co. As a from there, young co. Why are born in water? Papa, one evena. Papa, one evena. Akosia bra yentri, akosia bra yentri, stand. Queen 2023.
Ghana's Most Beautiful, coming soon on TV3.
This is Hot Issues, your passport to the most compelling conversations of our time. We go one-on-one with the movers and shakers, the thought leaders, and the game changers. We ask the questions that matter, and we don't back down.
Tonight on Hot Issues, I sit with the man at the Center of Corruption Investigations.
Join me on Hot Issues here on TV3.
Hot Issues shows Sundays at 2 p.m. on TV3.
TV3, first in news. The news never stops. If it's not breaking, developing, the news lends itself to significant analysis, broad context through explainers, and the features that give stories more life. That's what we offer on Weekend Central. News, features, analysis, the full package. Weekend Central, Saturdays and Sundays at 12 p.m. on TV3. TV3, first in news.
We decide the issues, we make headlines, we set the pace, we ask relevant questions, and of course, we need the conversations that matter to you, and the rest follow. Yes, we set the agenda, the kind that proffers solutions, informs national policy, and stimulate discussions that lead to national development. This is Agenda on TV3, your go-to program for what is worth focusing